This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Saturday edition of the program. And, of course, you may join us here. We'll give you our toll-free numbers and the Skype in moments. With you in the studio, you've got me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
I'm going to start out with breaking news about our friend and former co-host, sometime guest co-host on the show, Ademo Freeman, who is the founder of Copblock.org. Mark, how would you describe Copblock.org as somebody who's relatively on the outside? You don't go out and actively participate in
No, I got
Copblock.
no interest in that crap.
I'm sorry, what is crap about Copblock, sir?
Get it going to jail.
Oh, okay. So not holding the police accountable and for their actions,
Yeah,
that's not crap.
I think that they've done good things.
How about informing people of their rights? That's a good idea, right?
Sometimes I feel like people get the government they deserve. I mean, I wouldn't go out and spend my time on it.
That's pretty defeatist.
Yeah. I just wouldn't do it. I mean,
anyway, go ahead with your definition.
All right.
Try not to be too rude.
Copblock is an organization of people that, they're trying to hold police accountable. Oftentimes they'll use cameras. They'll participate in the arrest at times, trying to inform people of their rights and that sort of thing. That would separate them from Copwatch, which was an organization which I haven't heard much from them in the past.
They're
recently.
still around.
So I've heard, but I mean, what are they doing and where are they? I don't know.
Watching cops.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
And it's good to have video. I think that it's good to, keep people accountable, especially people that you work for. If I had a place of employment, I wouldn't have a problem videotaping employees. And nominally, that's what police are to us.
So just to be clear, then, the crap is the getting arrested crap is what you meant by that. You didn't mean the activism behind Copblock then.
Yeah, I think there's value to it. I think it benefits me. I just wouldn't do it.
Sure. In fact, their website's way more popular than ours is, and their Facebook page.
But they were launched on this show.
We certainly helped them launch Copblock. I wouldn't say they were on the show when Copblock launched, but we were certainly one of the earliest sponsors of the various different tours that founders Pete and Ademo have gone on. And we have Brian Sumner with us here tonight on Skype. Brian, you're in Kansas City via Skype. Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, welcome. How would you correct Mark's description? I thought he did okay once we got past the derogatory term of describing Copblock. What do you think?
About Copblock?
Yeah.
Well, Copblock is simply the idea that badges don't grant extra rights. And I think anybody can get behind that, whether they hold a camera or not.
Not every cop apparently agrees. There was a video where you guys were almost surrounded by police in Noblesville, Indiana, where they actually insisted that they have fewer rights than the regular folk do. What did you think about that?
Well, I think that just comes from the in general ignorance of government employees. Soldiers, cops, FBI agents, CIA agents, the NSA, they're all told that they're held to a higher standard, and they're all propagated and fed this idea that everybody around them could also be the enemy. And so when you combine the idea that you have less rights, but the fact that everybody else is trying to attack you, you almost inherently develop an aggressive personality. And then you go around violating the rights of others, trying to protect the idea that you have less rights than people and that you are held to this standard almost.
Yeah, it was funny that in the video, which was nearly 15 minutes, it was over 15 minutes long, where they detained you guys, and we'll get into the reason why and how that led ultimately to Ademo being arrested early this morning here in a moment. But they claim that one of the cops claims that they have fewer rights than the average person because they're held to a higher standard. And Ademo pointed out...
What is that higher standard?
Well, that's the thing. Ademo pointed out that, this year alone, there have been 800 killings by police, and only 11 officers have been actually held accountable in any kind of way for it. Was that the right statistic? Do you recall?
I believe it was 11, maybe it was 13. I can't recall the exact statistic.
And the cop, of course, balked and said, "Well, where'd you get that statistic from?" And Ademo cited a few sources for him.
Yeah, there's that's what's going on. I, as a citizen here, and I don't feel like I've got a dog in this race. I'd love to be proven that. I'd love it to be proven that our stalwarts paladins of justice are doing the greatest job. I just don't see the evidence for it. I feel like there can be some improvements in the area of law enforcement in this country, and I do think that it's really common, not just for police or military people or people generally, but mostly groups. This is a function of human groups is that they believe that they are the underdog, that they are beset. So I'll use the best example I can come up with. Christianity in this country is by far the single most claimed religion. And you'll hear the War on Christmas mantra beginning in relatively short order. And to believe that somehow, the largest group in the country are somehow the ones that are at the being maligned and mistreated seems kind of misguided to me. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how big or small your group is, you always think it's the other guy that's out to get you.
So, Brian, go ahead.
It's relatively ambiguous, too, to even think that there could be a war on a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there are people that out there that don't want to, I met a Jewish woman who said, when I said Merry Christmas to her, and I'm Jewish too, she's like, I'm Jewish, I don't celebrate Christmas. She clearly has a little, a rod in her posterior about this particular holiday. Now, I don't care, and again, I don't have a horse in the race, but there you go.
Hey, Brian, so let's take things to forward a little bit, and then we'll go back and explain what happened. Last night, Ademo was arrested. It was fairly early, I guess early this morning, like 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern Time. He was arrested by Shawnee, Kansas police on a warrant. The police at the time claimed that it was felony warrant for criminal mischief, which I didn't even know there was a felony for, and maybe there isn't, because it actually turns out in the news that I just broke over at freekeen.com just moments before the show, it turns out it was actually a Class B misdemeanor. So that's the good news. The bad news is Ademo's in jail until further notice. Hopefully he'll be released maybe on PR or whatever on Monday. But this was a warrant for chalking. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, I believe so. The day before the tour kicked off, we stopped in Noblesville, Indiana, and met up with a couple of Copblock Network contributors and the founder of one of the local Copblock groups down there. And we were hanging out. We decided to go and chalk the police station, have a little protest.
Because that's something people can do. I mean, it's a fairly easy thing to go and chalk a sidewalk. They'll get a little uppity if you chalk the side of a building. They might arrest for that in some places. But
they'll arrest for memorials as well.
Yeah. So going and chalking the police, there's actually a sort of a national day of chalking the police that copblock.org puts on and encourages people to go down to their local police departments and state police troops barracks and stuff and chalk messages of police accountability. We've done it here in Keene on a number of occasions, and we're relatively unmolested by the police regarding this. But you guys were targeted was it the same night when Noblesville PD, I guess, found y'all in a parking lot somewhere and then proceeded to detain you for nearly a quarter of an hour?
It was like probably 2 hours later, maybe. We left there, went over to one of the Copblock contributors' houses, hung out for a little bit, just socialized. And then we decided we were going to head out to this Walmart that was right on the freeway. Crash there for the night, get up early, and finish the drive into Illinois. So we got to the Walmart, then we went to a White Castle.
Okay, and the police, we don't need all those details, but the police surrounded you at some point, right? And
leaving after we got back to the RV from the restaurant, there were police just waiting for us there, like all standing around, and they're shining their lights on Mac, the mobile accountability for cops RV, and when we showed up, they asked us, like, are you guys a part of this vehicle? If you're with this vehicle, we need your IDs. And Ademo did most of the talking, mainly because they're his vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, well, tell me what's going on, and I'll give you my ID if it seems like a reasonable request, blah blah blah. And
ultimately they did not arrest you on that particular evening, but they did tell you why they were investigating you, and the claim was that during the chalking, and there was definitely chalking that was going on. They had what's called liquid chalk. We can talk more about that. But during the chalking, the police claimed someone used yellow spray paint, and now Ademo's in jail over this. It's Free Talk Live.
This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute, with 4 keys to choosing a home. First, know what you can afford and how much cash you'll need before looking at any homes. This will save you the disappointment that can come along from falling in love with a property that's out of reach. Second, location. Learn about the neighborhood, sample the commute, talk to neighbors, research the schools, shops, and nearby amenities. Next, consider your range of choices. There are single-family, multifamily, townhomes, condos, and co-ops. Decide which is best for you and refine your search from there. Last, obtain a valid pre-approval before you make any offer. Your pre-approval gives you and the seller confidence in your ability to close the deal once you've found a home that's right for you. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykemortgage.com. That's VanDykemortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Dr. Joe Wallach is not your typical doctor. Both a veterinarian and naturopathic physician, Dr. Wallach asks, why does America spend more money on health care by far and yet ranks 50th in health and longevity worldwide? The doctor believes that people should be empowered with a basic understanding of nutrition, then take charge of their life to attain optimal health and longevity through nutrition, not by toxic prescription drugs that lead to side effects, requiring more toxic prescription drugs. Talk about being dependent on drug companies, to our own destruction no less. This is clearly a deadly recipe. Doc Wallach's message is resonating with an increasing number of Americans who are waking up to all the government and big pharma manipulation of our healthcare system. I like what Doc Wallach is saying and doing to enlighten people and have joined forces to help this tireless crusader spread his message. Visit gcnminerals.com and listen to Dr. Wallach's Deadly Recipes lecture. It makes a lot of sense, and I invite you to join the GCN Minerals team. Go to gcnminerals.com. That's gcnminerals.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
You're here on Free Talk Live. You can join us. Our toll-free number, maybe you want to discuss the situation with the police in the United States and around the rest of the world as well. You can discuss that with us or whatever happens to be on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Our friend and sometime co-host, Ademo Freeman from Copblock.org, one of the founders of Copblock.org, has been arrested again, and as you know, has been a bit of a pattern for Ademo, and that's what happens when you challenge the police state. You know, if you're one of the most visible people out there holding the police accountable, well, you shouldn't be surprised when the police decide to target you, and that's what's happened here. The police arresting him in Kansas for a warrant out of Indiana where the police in Indiana are alleging that Ademo spray painted or used some sort of yellow paint while there was a Copblock chalking event going on outside of the police station. They claim that someone, and I presume they're accusing Ademo of this, was involved in actually not using chalk but using paint. And we'll continue with Brian Sumner from the Copblock Mac Tour, which we didn't really get into. We've actually had both Ademo and Brian on recent episodes to talk about their tour, which is them, driving around in an RV called MAC, which stands for Mobile Accountability for Cops. And the idea is to, go around to various different locations, meet up with cop blockers all around the country, and hold the police accountable. In short, you can go to copblock.org/MAC, M-A-C, to learn more about that.
My Magic Mud. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you are familiar with me talking about it. I love this tooth care product. It is a whitening product. It's all natural. It doesn't have any chemicals in it. It's just basically charcoal from coconut husks and bentonite clay mixed together. It's completely natural. It's backed by dozens of dentists, and it gets your teeth as white as they're supposed to be. It's not one of these artificial whiteners that'll have you looking like, you're some kind of monster in a UV light. It'll just get your teeth, all the stains off your teeth, and it's really awesome. I've used it for over a year now, and once you use it, your teeth will feel so clean that you don't want to not use it anymore. So I have to use it every 3 days. Otherwise, I start feeling this sort of scale that attaches itself. I guess it's tartar. I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you my hygienist and my dentist have both said my teeth look better than they've ever looked before. So I'm sold on it, and you can get a 20% discount simply to try it out by going to mymagicmud.com and using coupon code FTL. It's lab tested to ensure its safety and effectiveness. It's great for people with sensitivities of their teeth. It's mymagicmud.com, coupon code FTL. You will not regret this. This is one product I cannot live without. mymagicmud.com, FTL.
All right, let's bring Brian Sumner back on the line here from the Copblock Mac Tour. MAC stands for Mobile Accountability for Cops, and they hadn't even started that tour. It was the day before they were going to kick off the tour. They were in Noblesville, Indiana, and went out with some local cop blockers there to do some chalking in front of the police department, and then later were accused of someone using spray paint during that chalking event. Now, Brian, you were there during that chalking event. I presume you didn't notice that going on.
Nobody used spray paint.
What do you think's going on here? Do you think the cops went out there and spray painted their own building or sidewalk or whatever?
No, I think that somebody mixed the liquid chalk wrong, and it came out a little bit too runny.
The liquid what?
And
chalk.
The liquid chalk.
Okay.
And it came out a little bit too runny, and like one or two of the chalk slogans, or however many they wrote with the yellow, that was the color, were they spread it out. They looked like somebody actually had painted it out there after they dried, based on like the fact there was more water in there than was supposed to be.
But if it's chalk, shouldn't it come off?
Oh, of course, but it just shows the poor investigative skills of this department.
Well, wait a second. Did you test out the liquid chalk before you used it at this location? Do you know that it scrubs off? I mean, it's called liquid chalk, but had you run it through some tests ahead of time?
No, but it said right on the package, like washes off with water.
Yeah, this is stuff you get from Walmart, right? This isn't...
That's exactly where we got it.
Yeah, so...
Well, I hear you. I just don't know. Here's what I'm thinking. This is my scenario that I'm believing. Somebody goes out to clean it off. It's like, this stuff doesn't come off like regular chalk. It must be something besides regular chalk. This sounds like vandalism, right? Like if they have to apply, anything more than a hose to it, then fine. It's something else. And at some point, you would agree that at some point, say, spray paint is vandalism, right?
Yeah.
So there's something between spray paint and chalk that's vandalism, and I don't know what it is or what that continuum is. It's just I don't know. I don't know how easily this stuff came off. I guess that's what my question is.
Well, the police in the video said that they claim that there was chalk used, so that it sounded like they had tried already to clean it up. And then that was how they discovered, allegedly, that paint was also used. So who knows what the facts are in the case? I'm sure they're going to make their best case against Ademo in this case. The good news is that Ademo has not been charged with a felony, as the police had announced while he was being arrested. And the video of his arrest is up right now. If you want to see it, it's over at freekeen.com, and I think it's also on copblock.org. But the police during the arrest were at least courteous. They weren't thugs about the entire.
This was a
behavior.
different department.
That's correct. He was arrested in Kansas for a warrant out of Indiana.
Okay.
And now, a big question is, will Indiana actually extradite Ademo over this? Do you have any prediction on that, Brian?
I don't think so. I called Indiana a couple of times today, as well as like places around Kansas. And as far as I can tell, from the information that I received, that they have no intention of extraditing.
Now, this is something that I don't know a whole lot about, the extradition process. Apparently, there are different, each bureaucracy has different policies when it comes to who they'll extradite under
who they'll hold, too.
Under what circumstances. So there seems like there's a good chance maybe Ademo will be turned loose on Monday afternoon when he has a court hearing there. But unless the bond gets paid in Noblesville, Indiana, which is where the warrant comes out of, then in theory he could be arrested the next town over when as soon as he leaves wherever he is.
Yes, that is correct. The fugitive status will remain as long as we don't return. As long as we don't return to Indiana and pay the fine or the bail and deal with the charges.
Yeah. Wow. So basically, Ademo could just continually get arrested. Sounds
expensive.
Town out. So let's see. What else are we missing here, Brian, with the story? Ademo's in jail
so
right now. Go ahead.
Let me kind of tell you the story of how it all came to be. We decided when we were changing Ademo's headlights that we were going to save the burned bulb and then put it in the car later and drive around with the headlight out and try and get pulled over. We were like fishing for cops.
This is a great idea. Go ahead.
I love it.
And so we kept the fresh bulbs in the car with us. And then when the cops pulled us over, we were going to offer them the chance to provide us a service, which is what we pay them to do.
You mean have them change the bulb for you?
Exactly.
But it didn't get to that point because turns out there was a warrant.
Well,
Brian, you've got more to tell. Stand by.
I want to hear what the reasoning behind this is.
We'll continue the story. Well, it's kind of, trolling the cops to some extent. And they're great at it over at copblock.org. Copblock.org/MAC. That's MAC, stands for Mobile Accountability for Cops. That's the tour that they were on that is now stopped until further notice. It's
in jail.
Yeah, in Kansas City area. It's Free Talk Live.
Global warming covertly describes the effects of iron poisoning. CO2 is iron-poisoned blood types and is the body's defense mechanism to buffer the oxygen iron attracts. CO2 in blood and blood type prevalences are used as false evidence for global warming and is the setup for the greatest fraud in history. The healthy blood type AB is on the Shroud of Turin and is their DNA proof they are his Christ. For further information, unveilingthem.com. UNVEILING them.com.
My dad was 59 when he collapsed from a heart attack late last year. Just this past August was when we spread his ashes on the St. Croix River. I loved my dad, but boy was he stubborn. He hadn't been to the doctor in over 25 years. His excuse? He simply couldn't afford it. He wasn't a rich man by any means. At less than $107 per month, libertyoncall.org would have been the perfect alternative for my father. Don't wait. Go to libertyoncall.org right now, for not just your sake, but for the sake of your loved ones. Again, that's libertyoncall.org.
Keenvention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at keenvention.info. Keenvention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Daryl W. Perry, illegal Uber driver Christopher David, Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp, State Representative Mike Sylvia, rated an A+ by the NHLA, the Seditious Sirens, the Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias, tech guru Brian Sovereign, cop blocker J.P. Freeman, new mover Dr. Taryn Lupo, longtime political activist Dennis Goddard, Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul, Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us here on the radio, the live Saturday edition here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The Free Talk Live t-shirts are coming back. You can order them online now for the first time in many, many years. Just go to gear.freetalklive.com. We got one with the Free Talk Live logo on it. Also another with taxes are theft on the front, and then the Free Talk Live logo on the backside. You can pre-order and get yours, or get your pre-order in before October 31st in order to be part of the initial run of shirts. Plus, there are ladies' cut shirts available as well. So go and get yours reserved at gear.freetalklive.com. That's gear, G-E-A-R, gear.freetalklive.com. As we continue, Brian Sumner is with us here from the Copblock Tour, graciously spending the time with us to really kind of lay out what happened with Ademo Freeman last night, the founder of Copblock.org, who was arrested, was initially charged with what was thought to be a felony. And the reason we thought it was a felony was because that's what the cops said on the video that you recorded, Brian, that is up right now. You can see it at freekeen.com. The video of the arrest, the cops make it pretty clear that they're arresting him on what they thought was a felony warrant, but the paperwork from the courts in Indiana say that it's a Class B misdemeanor of criminal mischief. So that's a huge difference, and it's certainly good news that he's not facing years in prison over this alleged painting, which the claim is that he was using chalk. Brian, you say that everyone was using chalk in front of the Noblesville, Indiana Police Department, but they are claiming that someone used yellow paint, and now they put out a warrant for Ademo's arrest. But you were kind of telling us the story of what led up to the arrest there in Shawnee, Kansas, which is nearby, I guess, Kansas City.
It's near Kansas City, yes,
okay.
Johnson County. And so, like I said before, we had a burned out headlight. I'm gonna cough real quick. Hang on one second.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
And no problem. And so we were rolling around Kansas City, and we had tried a couple of nights to get pulled over, but I guess the area we were in, like, everybody has burned out headlights, so the cops just don't care. Saw like hundreds of them.
So you literally had a burned out headlight that you'd saved. You had the working headlights in the car.
Yes.
And your intention was to kind of bait the police into pulling you over, and then they would tell you to change the headlight, and you'd ask them to provide the service of doing it for you, which I think would have been fun video.
If they cared so much to pull us over, you'd think that the least they could do is change the headlight.
Well, they're supposedly there to serve and protect, so let's have some service then. Please.
Exactly.
And so that would have made a fun video, but they changed the plans for your video by arresting Ademo.
Yes. And so it was news to us, anything about a warrant on Ademo, and that was half the reason, we were out there. And so basically we had this plan, take the headlight out, drive around, get pulled over, ask the police to change the headlight for us.
Right.
Ademo got arrested on this warrant.
Was there any alcohol involved in the creation of this plan?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just wanted to know.
Ademo and I are always thinking of content ideas for the Mac tour, and that just happened to be a very convenient, opportunistic one that just on the spot we came up with.
All right, so what's next?
So we're sitting in the car for probably like 20 minutes, and just like I'm not really sweating it because we have no reason for a warrant, but they come back and they're both wearing black latex gloves.
Uh-oh, arresting time. Them's the arresting gloves.
Exactly. And I knew something I was like, either they're A, they're about to try and search the car, or B, Ademo's going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And it was B. Ademo went to jail. And so we're here trying to raise bail money. And
now, the bail money, this is what I don't understand. So bail money, they definitely want to get bond money in Noblesville, Indiana, which is where the warrant came from. Otherwise, the warrant doesn't go away, and he can keep getting arrested. But the bail money would be for Kansas, right, or for Shawnee or Johnson County.
Yes, it's called a fugitive bond. Basically, you bond out of where you are to go back to where the warrant is, take care of the warrant, and then come back to where you bonded out of for the fugitive and show them that you took care of the warrant.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it costs more than twice as much unnecessarily, basically, unless they decide to just cut you loose on Monday when you see a judge or when Ademo sees a judge.
Exactly. And then you have to make your way back to wherever the warrant's from, in this case, Indiana.
Without getting arrested again.
Right.
Skulking about.
How far is it from Shawnee, Kansas, or Kansas City to Noblesville, Indiana?
Maybe 6 hours, maybe.
So 6 hours on the road.
But
hoping,
in Mac.
In Mac, which is like this target for the police. All the cops seem to know. I mean, it's probably not all of them, but you guys have had multiple interactions with police on the tour thus far, where the police have encountered you in just whatever circumstance, and they've asked you if they don't see the RV. Hey, where's Mac?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Multiple states, they've asked us that in different places, different departments.
You know
Sounds like they're doing their intelligence work.
Oh, yeah. You know there's some kind of cop forum where they're following very diligently where you guys are going, and they're talking about you. You know it. And there's probably like a game that they're playing to see who can bust you on the warrant first. And Noblesville's probably got some points. Or not Noblesville, Shawnee PD in Kansas.
Shawnee.
They probably got some points.
At the end of the tour, they get to divvy up the points on who got the most arrests, or they split the pot.
Could be that. They people probably have squares, like guessing how many arrests there will be, how many arrests on this side of the Mississippi, on that side of the Mississippi. So, yeah, I mean, they're doing all kinds of things.
So there was something you told me about that Ademo had contacted you through some intermediary and said that he wanted to be bailed out, which was kind of a surprise to me, given that, Monday he's going to go to court, and then maybe that'll be PR, which could, that stands for personal recognizance, where you just get let out and you agree that you're going to, do what you say that you're going to do. So why do you think that he wants to get out so quickly?
To tell you the truth, I can't speculate on that because we didn't really set a jail support plan up, because we hadn't done anything too crazy to where we thought we'd be going to jail yet.
Yeah, you just didn't think jail was a possibility on the Copblock tour.
Well, no, we definitely were aware that jail was a possibility, as was getting beat up and maybe even like an extreme killed. But our jail support plan, we passed back information back and forth, like, oh yeah, this, but we'll talk about it more later because this is coming up. We got to take care of this first, and then a little bit later we'd have the same conversation. And so I just remembered some key points from what we talked about, got in contact with those people. He contacted one of them through a bondsman. And so the only thing I could think of is if Ademo wants out of jail, there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, probably true. Are you guys trying to raise money for that purpose?
Yes, we are.
How are you going about
through,
that?
Through the Police Accountability Fund.
And how does one contribute to that fund?
You could contact the Copblock network, and they will put you in contact with the point man.
And how does one contact the Copblock network? What can our listener do who's interested in helping?
Anybody who's interested in helping can go to copblock.org and use the submit tab, or you could go right to Facebook and send the Copblock main Facebook page a message. You could go to Copblock Network Facebook page and send them a message, or you could even find myself on Facebook at Brian David Sumner and send me a message. And
that's a lot of options. That's a lot of options.
Go to copblock.org.
Yeah, copblock.org would, I think, be the simplest thing. We want to keep it simple for folks. And I don't know if you want to consider doing like one of those GoFundMe things, but those seem to have good success. I'm not sure if that's the right fundraising tool, but I see a lot of people using that.
The main problem that we're running into with donations over the internet is that they take a day or two to clear.
Oh yeah,
and so if we're going to work for the expedience,
right? Okay, so there's got to be other ways to do that. So copblock.org, great place to go. Copblock.org/MAC stands for Mobile Accountability for Cops. You'll be posting updates to copblock.org/MAC-tour, isn't that right?
Yes, follow along at copblock.org/mac-tour.
And I'm also keeping the updates rolling at freekeen.com, which is my blog. Ademo is one of the bloggers there, and so I'm keeping close eye on this as well. Brian, thanks for coming on Free Talk Live. I think that pretty much sums up the status of the case at the moment, but I'd love to have you guys back on as this develops.
It's great to have LRN as a sponsor of the Mac Tour.
Yeah, thanks, brother, and be safe out there.
You too. Have a good night.
Yep, Brian Sumner from the Mobile Accountability for Cops Tour. It's the Free Talk Live Saturday edition. You can share your thoughts at 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
When the most powerful and destructive witch in 13th century France chooses a successor, her frightened young protege, Liana, escapes into the wild. Pursued by witch hunters, the town watch, and her mistress, Liana's only hope is a pair of newly returned crusaders, one with PTSD, the other a complete rascal. The Witch's Hand by Wendy Joseph is a cut above the usual sword and sorcery fare, a thinking person's historical fantasy novel. Available now at your favorite booksellers or visit wendyjosephwrites.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $2 higher at $1,184 per ounce. Silver is up 2 cents at $16.18 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $261 US. Check out our Halloween special on Australian silver spiders, and if you've been looking for silver eagles, we've lowered that price too. Give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Saturday edition. We're here. We'll take your calls. You can call in about anything you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And I know, Mark, you want to talk about tipping. If we get a chance, we'll get around to that. We're still kind of on the cop accountability discussion that we were having with Brian Sumner, with our friend Ademo Freeman sitting in a jail cell now in in Kansas, because of a warrant out of Indiana that was issued for chalking. They were doing a chalking event out in front of the Noblesville Police Department, and they have since issued a warrant and arrested him for that. So we'll keep you in the loop as that case develops. The arrest video is up right now at freekeen.com. You can go and check that out at your leisure. But let's go to your phone calls and thoughts as we continue here. We got Dave on the line listening in Indy to WIBC FM. Hey, Dave.
Hey, you godless hippies.
Welcome, Dave. Go ahead with your thoughts. I'm actually a minister, but go ahead.
All right. Well, this Brian kid's got a lot of spare time. I mean, he could have done something creative. Say, like, had a bacon cook-off with a bunch of models in bikinis in front of a mosque, or maybe thrown some poopy diapers at Planned Parenthood. That would have been what I would have done. Maybe not throwing them at Planned Parenthood, because then you might have actually broken the law. But again, I don't know what it is with you guys. You just want to waste the cops' time and screw with them all the time.
Whoa. Slow down.
Yeah,
waste the cops' time and screw with them. What do you mean by that?
You drive the kid drove around with a busted headlight and then had the stones to ask the cop to change it for him.
Actually, they never got to that point because they ended up arresting him. The cops screw with us all the time. Isn't it only fair to pull a prank on them here and there?
No, it's not, because you know who you're pulling the prank on? You're pulling the prank on the cop that actually doesn't screw with people. You're pulling the prank on the guy that's actually trying to do his job and trying to balance his duty to maybe be a little proactive against crime versus the citizens' liberties.
You don't know that, by the way. And some cops have a better sense of humor than others.
Why would you do that, though? This guy has to catch.
Why would the police continue to arrest peaceful people who've never hurt anybody else? I mean, don't you think they should be held accountable for that?
That's not the majority of their arrests.
Huh?
That is, you give me a percentage as to how many people arrested in the United States of America in 1 month.
It's huge. There's over 1 million people arrested in the war on drugs every single year.
I think the majority
drugs are illegal. Change the law. Change the law.
All right, Mark, what were you going to say there?
So there's a prank. There's these people online that make a living doing prank videos, and I don't like prank videos. I find them to be juvenile. But Ian just thinks they're awesome, right?
Some of them I don't care for, but I like a lot of them.
One of them is that they take a water bottle, they put a small hole in the cap of the water bottle, and then they'll take the water bottle and squeeze it while sort of holding it down by their groin area,
and turned away from the person.
Turned away from, and it looks for all the world like they're, urinating in public, right? And
am I still on the?
You're right here.
You're right here. So what they've done is they put together a compilation of videos where they, get police officers reacting to these guys that have done these videos of them pretending to pee out in public. Do you think that is? What do you think should be done with those guys? Because I think to some extent we're talking about.
Have any of those guys ever been detained or arrested?
I'm sorry, what?
He asked if any of those guys were detained or arrested.
Some of the police reacted well to it. Some of them thought that it was a real waste of their time. I'm sure one of them got. I'm sure one of them got arrested.
Yes,
at
Roman
some point.
Atwood has been arrested, and that was his video.
For doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was arrested for that, but he's been arrested.
No. You're not answering my question. Okay, nobody's ever been arrested for squeezing a water bottle of water.
That wasn't your question. Your question was, were they ever
I think
arrested?
It was close to that.
And it's fine. If you were asking if they were arrested for that, no, they were not.
This is live radio, dude. I haven't done an investigative report for you, and I don't have a memorandum of how many people.
Somewhere down the line, somebody in a uniform pissed you guys off, and I don't know what it is.
Look, your amateur psychiatry has nothing to do with this. I'm asking you a question. Do you think that those pranksters, as I described them to you, deserve arrest, or do you think that that's legitimate street theater?
The water on the sidewalk, or
those guys
wasting the cops' time with the headlight.
Well, one might claim that this was a waste of cops' time too. These these pranksters took the bottle in front of police.
I've seen those videos. The guy laughed. The cop laughed.
Some of them did. Some of them didn't think it was funny at all. Others yanked these guys around. I mean, it showed.
These guys are charged with keeping the environment safe, and the environment, I mean the environment of where people are walking in the public to generally try to keep the order. So maybe they got on their last nerve. You never know. That guy might have just come from an investigation.
Yeah.
He might have seen a kid shot. You guys screw with other people. Screw with jihad.
How about the cops stop screwing with people, and then we'll leave them alone?
Hold on.
How about that?
When you say screw with other people. Look, things are changing in the United States of America, and they're changing in the area of law enforcement. The fact is that cameras are available now. People are seeing cops kick the crap out of people for no apparent reason. In the United States, people are shot far more often than they are in Canada, Great Britain, all of Europe. So, I mean, things need to change. And they're not changing on the side of law enforcement. The community needs to do something.
And screwing with cops is the answer.
I'm not claiming that screwing with cops is the answer. I thought that this was kind of juvenile, personally.
Let me finish. The reason more people are shot in the United States of America is because more assailants are running around with guns. There's 26 million
if you want the cops to catch people who are shooting people, Dave, then you should have them stop investigating crimes with no victim. Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. See, this is a problem that a lot of liberty activists and police accountability activists run into, is that, these poor government bureaucrats, you guys are always messing with them. You should stop it. Why don't you do something more productive? Well, wait a minute. You're forgetting the fact that the police and the parking enforcers here in Keene, New Hampshire, and police all around the globe, these bureaucrats are aggressors. They're the ones who are going after peaceful people who've never hurt anybody else. Ademo has not hurt anyone, but yet he was put in prison for selling marijuana years ago in Wisconsin. And that's actually when he decided that he was going to try to do something about the police. And shortly after that, he founded Copblock.org. And now it's become a sort of multinational or international organization to hold the police accountable. The police created Copblock. Through their actions enforcing the war on drugs, Copblock is an unintended consequence of the war on drugs. The cops didn't intend to create Copblock, but by continuing to aggress against peaceful people just for having a plant or a chemical, they planted the seeds that grew into this organization that now bothers them so much. And all they have to do is do the right thing and leave peaceful people alone. Please,
we don't know that.
We don't know what.
We don't know that cop blockers would all just disperse at the point that the police stopped enforcing
it's probably
the war on drugs.
But
I think what's
it would
important, there's a lot of people going out there saying right now, the police don't make the law, they just enforce it. Well, hold on just a second. This is really important to rebut because, I've been on multiple occasions to the Concord State House, and I'm willing to bet that this happens in 49 other states. But, admittedly, I haven't gone to every state house and seen the chiefs of police association or the police union's president there testifying how they want stricter drug laws, how they want this particular drug law, that particular drug law. But police organizations testify on a regular basis, many times without being called to testify. They'll just say, hey, we want to testify on this particular bill. And, of course, they're going to be allowed to. They're citizens like anybody else. But to suggest that police aren't in any way, shape, or form creating the law, is nonsensical. Plus, when a law is created, legislators don't exactly know how it's going to be enforced. It's the executive branch that creates the enforcement of a particular law. So, in many states, there's laws against playing sports on Sunday. You don't see the cops out there enforcing that rule. They use discretion. They choose not to. They say if somebody reports the sports being played, then we'll do whatever we have to do. But since nobody ever does that, we don't have to worry about it.
They can investigate a report and ignore it. So even if it was reported to them that someone was playing sports on Sunday, they're not even under an obligation to send an officer out to respond.
There you go.
But if they did, the officer could decide, okay, I'm not going to enforce this law today.
Right. I don't want to be put in a cubbyhole that says I somehow hate police officers.
No, you came to this begrudgingly. I mean, you don't hate the police. You are a critic of some of the things that they do, and you came to that fairly slowly and reluctantly.
Right. I was, apologist for the police officers on a regular basis, but I've come to the conclusions I've come to that, look, it's protect and serve. It's a service. And Americans are not feeling served, and they have several good reasons why. So it needs to be looked at. Why are police in this country shooting people far more often than they are in other countries? Well, is it, as the caller suggested, it's the amount of guns? Well, Canada shares about 3,000 miles worth of border with the United States. Guns can easily be run across that border if that's what they want to do. If guns are the issue, well, then we need to figure something. We need to figure something else out.
The police are not protecting and serving most people these days. They're a threat, and they really shouldn't be. I don't want them to be that way. I want them to actually provide a valuable service of protection. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keenan, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 17th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,177 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $268. Antiwar.com reports that Turkey reported that its Air Force shot down a drone along the Syrian border on Friday after the drone was repeatedly warned to turn back and did not respond. Turkish officials say the incident was within the rules of engagement for their forces. The big question here is whose drone this actually is, and that's unclear so far. Turkey just flat out says they don't know, while the U.S. says they suspect the Russians, likely in no small part because the U.S. always suspects the Russians. Russia, however, says they are not missing any aircraft and did not offer any insight into whose drone it might have been. No one else is claiming ownership of the drone either, though the Islamic State has been known to fly some limited drones in the airspace. Turkey had made high-profile threats in recent weeks to shoot Russian warplanes out of the sky if they got too close to the border, and that seems to be informing a lot of the speculation about this being a Russian drone, though the fact that a remotely piloted drone did not respond to warning broadcasts seems a little silly and seems mostly focused on Turkey trying to sell the idea that they tried to avoid the incident. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports traffic near Los Angeles, already notorious for gridlock, was even more restricted late Friday after mudslides buried a major thoroughfare and forced drivers onto an alternate route for the evening commute. Heavy rains soaked Southern California and triggered landslides on Thursday. By early Friday, the mud had buried a good portion of Interstate 5 in Castaic, about 40 miles north of downtown Los Angeles. Officials also said the rocks, mud, and debris stranded motorists in about 200 vehicles. Dozens of semi-trucks and 2 tour buses were among the stranded vehicles, according to the LA Times. Traffic was shut down in both directions on the freeway, although most lanes had reopened by late Friday. The slide spelled trouble for Friday's afternoon commute as drivers were diverted onto U.S. Route 101. Traffic was further snarled when authorities responded to a possible jumper on an overpass above the 101 highway. Heavy rains soaked the region on Thursday, which were followed by flash floods. More rain is forecast for Saturday.
For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports turmoil swirled again around the Republican-controlled Benghazi committee on Friday as it questioned a senior aide to Hillary Clinton, prompting fresh accusations that the panel was created to damage the Democratic frontrunner's presidential campaign. In a 6-hour closed-door interview, members and staff sought answers from Huma Abedin, for years a close confidant of Hillary Clinton. Abedin has served as the former Secretary of State's assistant at the time of the 2012 attacks on U.S. diplomatic facilities in Benghazi, Libya, that killed 4 Americans. Democratic Representative and panel member Elijah Cummings told reporters that summoning Abedin raised more questions about whether the panel is a taxpayer-funded effort to derail the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. Cummings said Abedin, now campaign vice chairwoman of Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, had no responsibilities related to the tragedy the committee was set up to investigate. Representative Trey Gowdy, the panel's Republican chairman, said Abedin's testimony would assist the committee in writing a final report. Organized originally to probe the 2012 attacks on U.S. facilities in Benghazi, Libya, the committee has come under attack by Democrats who say it is a partisan investigation unleashed by the Republican-majority House. The committee has come under especially harsh criticism since Republican Kevin McCarthy, the number 2 House Republican, suggested in a recent television interview that the probe had helped to drive down Clinton's presidential poll ratings. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library. Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book extravaganza when they smelled something strange.
So Doug smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked.
Yeah.
And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband, Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
Yeah, I don't smell anything. I really, really, really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here, and you can bring up anything that you want. It is the live Saturday edition of the program, and joining you here, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And also, you can Skype into the show. Skype username is lrn.fm. We've got toll-free lines at 855-450-FREE, which are loaded up with you and your calls. So let's go to them. We've got TJ on the line in St. Louis. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, TJ.
Hey, Ian, how's it going?
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to let you know I can read between the lines on this Copblock case. So the Class B misdemeanor, if they would have used spray paint, it would have been a Class A misdemeanor. And if the damage would have been more than $250, it also would have been a Class A misdemeanor. So since it's a Class B misdemeanor, I can assure you that they are not saying that spray paint was used, and the damage, if they can call it that, was less than $250.
Interesting. So what you're referring to is our friend Ademo Freeman arrested early this morning, like, in the middle of the overnight, basically, for ostensibly being involved in a painting of a police building or outside somewhere of a police building.
Talking of the sidewalk, yeah. Talking of the sidewalk.
But the police are claiming someone painted. They're claiming that Ademo was painting, or that someone in his group was painting instead of chalking, and that is going to be the case.
Generally in an initial investigation, there's a lot of things that might be misunderstood about what was what, but ultimately, when you look at the charging document, if it would have been paint, they probably looked at it closer and realized it was chalk, and that's why it's a Class B misdemeanor instead of a Class A. Because if it would have been paint, they would have charged it as a Class A, definitely.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Sure.
When I look at most laws that surround graffiti and vandalism and these sorts of things, chalk seems to fit within the definition of what they're calling graffiti. Now, I'm not making any claims here. I'm just talking about what it is that they say in their laws. It seems like we have a sort of societal situation where it's unlikely police are willing to go after, 4-year-olds that are out drawing smiley faces and pictures of SpongeBob SquarePants or whatever it is that they do when they chalk. But they are willing to go after adults when they chalk. And this is sort of an age-based crime. Like if one person's doing one thing, if it's applying chalk to sidewalks is a crime, then police should be going after everybody who does it. But if saying sort of writing anti-authoritarian messages with chalk by adults is considered a crime, whereas drawing flowers by children isn't, then you've got a free speech issue on your hands.
Yes. Well, also, if Ademo would have written, "I love the police," or drawn a picture of the Mona Lisa, I guarantee you they wouldn't have cared or bothered to arrest him because he wrote something critical. This is the danger of prosecutorial discretion. When the police and the prosecutors get to decide how a vague law gets applied to the citizens, they can basically ignore it when they want to, but if they don't like what you say or are doing, I guarantee you the United States Code is over 100,000 pages. They can find a law in there somewhere if they want to charge you with something.
Yeah, there's a book called Three Felonies a Day that suggests that every American is committing 3 felonies a day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and a good example, Dennis Hassert, Speaker of the House. When you actually look at what he was charged with a crime called structuring. So what was he doing? He was paying off a bribe to someone to keep silent about something he'd allegedly done 2 decades ago, which is not illegal to pay a bribe to somebody if you want them to keep quiet. But what he did is anytime you withdraw $10,000 or more in cash from your checking account, your bank is required to file a form with the IRS called a currency transaction report. And if you do anything to avoid the filing of one of those forms, that is a crime called structuring, and it's punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison. So Dennis Hastert, the Speaker of the House, he was charged with that, and he ultimately pled guilty to lying to the FBI, and they dropped the structuring charge. But this is not a tiny crime. This is a very serious crime. So if you have $10,000 in cash and you want to put $5,000 into your checking account today and $5,000 into your checking account tomorrow, yes, the FBI can, and if they want to, will arrest you for doing that if your intent was to avoid a currency transaction report.
Yep.
And
that's the law.
That's the nature of that's also the nature of the criminal prosecution is even if you win, you lose. So if you do fight and you go to court, you spend $10,000, $50,000 on an attorney, and you win, well, you don't get that money back. That money, you've lost it. So what's the difference between that, spending $10,000 on an attorney and just having the government say, pay a $10,000 fine? In fact, I would think it would be better just to bribe the prosecutor and say, hey, how about I give you $5,000 for your kid's trust fund if you just drop this nonsense charge?
Right. That way you don't have to go through the time and the hassle and the expense of trial and attorneys.
That's how many emerging markets in the world operate, and many Americans don't want such a thing. But we have that essentially with prosecutorial discretion. We have that kind of lawlessness in America today because, well, they don't have to pay for attorneys to come after you. That's their job. They're already getting paid whether they come after you or not. You have to pay for an attorney to deal with them.
Well, now, obviously, discretion can seem like a bad thing if it's being used in a way that doesn't harm someone else but does harm you. But ultimately, if they use discretion in your case, then it's a good thing to have discretion, isn't it?
You love this discretion thing because you think that police officers should not enforce drug crimes.
And I know cops who don't.
I say we should have cops who work as automatons who, do everything they're told. And that way America can know what kind of, lawyer-industrial complex Washington, D.C. and their state capital all about.
Wait a minute, Mark. If they don't know that
should
already,
have consequences.
Okay, but if they don't, there are plenty of consequences. Over 1 million people are arrested every year for possession of a plant or
the
drug.
people only care when it's them or their kids.
Well, the war on drugs has been striking very close to many people's families over time.
It's going to have to change.
And you've got situations where teenagers are being arrested for having pictures of themselves naked. Those are happening all the time. So, it's not like the law isn't striking close to home in many households. I'm sorry, but you're not going to have automatons until you got robots. Until then, police are going to use their discretion, and they're never going to be stripped of it.
I understand that. I understand that, Ian. I get it.
Right.
Like, I know police have mothers, and they're not going to give mom a ticket.
Sure, and they shouldn't give the college students a ticket if they pull them over and they find them with a bag of pot.
If they don't hand out tickets, they have no reason for a job, so they're going to hand out the tickets.
Well, not always. We've actually had cops call the show who've said that they will look the other way if they find someone with a bag of pot.
That's fine. They might be able to get away with that.
Right.
But if every police officer did that, then there would be real problems within the police structure. They'd be like, why aren't you guys enforcing these laws? We're going to fire you and get people who will.
I don't think you have to worry about every cop doing that.
I don't think we do.
TJ, anything else you want to share about all this?
Well, Ademo might actually have it. I mean, if he doesn't want to get out, if he really wants to call their bluff, what he should do is what will happen sometime next week, he's going to go before a magistrate judge. And considering that the prosecuting attorney, James Baldwin, I almost guarantee you he's not going to extradite. It would just be way too expensive to send a sheriff's deputy from Hamilton County, Indiana, all the way to Kansas to pick Ademo up and bring him back before the court.
Right, just for a Class B misdemeanor. I mean, it'd be one thing if he was actually facing a felony.
No, of course not. Now, they could. Legally they have that right under the law, but as a matter of practicality, it's just too expensive. And what will happen is Ademo, if he pays the $2,000 bond, that's what his bond is. So if he puts up 20 Benjamins, the warrant will be recalled so he can continue on his MAC tour without being arrested every time he gets pulled over. However, if he doesn't pay the $2,000 bond, he will be released. It's just that whenever he gets pulled over in a traffic stop, they're going to rearrest him and hold him for up to 7
Well,
days.
that could be a different aspect for the tour. Is how many different towns can Ademo get arrested in, and then
Have like a betting pool. How many times will Ademo get arrested this month?
No, that sounds like fun.
Thanks, TJ, for your call, man. I appreciate hearing from you. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. It would be a different kind of tour. You'd be touring the insides of jails on the way from wherever you're going to, wherever you want to be.
I'm glad you consider it funny. I just don't. I mean, I just think that this is terrible. Ademo's my friend. I hate to see.
What part do you think I think is funny, Mark?
Visiting the insides of jail cells all across the country.
It was just a joke. I wasn't serious that he should do that.
That's what's funny.
Yeah. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I think Ademo should do whatever he darn well feels like doing, and he's great at it. So you can go learn more about what he's up to at copblock.org/MacTour. That's MAC-tour. Copblock.org/Mac-tour. This is Free Talk Live. We've got plenty of time for you to share your thoughts on police accountability or whatever's on your mind on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com. BlakeDevelopment.net is a global leader in website creation, app development, and online marketing, catering to businesses of all sizes. There's really no job too big or too small for BlakeDevelopment.net. Do you have an idea for a killer app, but you don't know how to code it? Are you missing out on online sales? Or maybe your business needs help with social media? Websites start at just $200, and they're offering 3 years of free domain registry. Yes, they take Bitcoin. 844-SITE-123. BlakeDevelopment.net, 844-SITE-123.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99. And there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Free Talk Live.
Now, I can understand why some people would look at what the mainstream environmental movement says and does and advocates and come to the conclusions that, well, some of these people seem to want humans to go back into caves.
They do.
But that's not to say that just because the most vocal environmental activists out there
are socialist nut jobs
are that way means that, we should just forget about taking care of the environment. Who wants pollution? Who wants any of that stuff? Right. What I want is market-based solutions that don't involve threatening violence against people, and that's what the government solution always is. The government doesn't persuade. The government doesn't ask. The government demands. And if you don't go along with their demands, they've got a nice cold concrete cage waiting for you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, you've got Ian. Oh, sorry about that, Mark. I think I unmuted the wrong mics. Go ahead now.
And Mark.
So we're going to continue with your calls. Also, Skype username here is lrn.fm. Feel free to reach out to us. That way you'll sound, in a lot of cases, like you're right here in the studio with us.
I'm heading out to Las Vegas at the end of the month. It's for the first remote broadcast of Free Talk Live from the Sin City, and it's going to be at the Bitcoin Investor Conference, which is being held at the D Hotel in downtown Las Vegas. It's going to be a great time, great speakers there. Trace Mayer, Stephen Michaels, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, Bitcoin Bell, Paul Pui, Tone Vase. I will be emceeing the event and, of course, broadcasting live. And you can get your tickets by going to bitcoininvestor.com. It's bitcoininvestor.com. But we're giving away some free tickets on our Facebook page. Go right now to facebook.freetalklive.com and make a guess. It's pinned right to the top. Make a guess between a number between 1 and 1,000, and you have a chance to win some tickets to the Bitcoin Investor Conference, or you can just buy them. There's a 100% chance you'll win if you buy them at bitcoininvestor.com.
All right, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We'll start out here with Mark, listening in Madison, Wisconsin, to the mic 92.1. Go ahead, Mark. You're on Free Talk Live.
All right, sounds good.
Welcome.
Hey, addressing that first caller and regarding the old there's too many guns. Well, sorry, that's the wrong approach on that.
Wait a minute. Did someone say there's too many guns on the air tonight?
Caller called in and said the reason there's so many police shootings in the United States is because there are so many guns. I don't know if that's too many.
Yeah. The problem.
Yeah, I agree. The police, if they didn't have guns, then there probably wouldn't be as many shootings by cops.
Well, yeah, that's not necessarily accurate.
You think cops without guns could shoot people?
Well,
don't the bobbies in the UK not have guns?
That's correct.
Anyway, I know that wasn't the thrust of your call, Mark, so go ahead with what your point was.
Yeah, quit spinning that now. Okay, now, yeah, his statement was just way off. I just wanted to touch on that one, being way off. Good guys with guns stop bad guys with guns. Plain and simple.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to put that one out there. The fact that the Copblock organization developed without a necessity. Well, it's pretty plain and simple. Why? To me, anyway, it's pretty clear. And I back them 100%.
Excellent.
But on the other side of the coin, with police, cops, officers in general, whatever we want to call them, well, yeah, we need them too. But like in any profession, you're going to have good and bad. Well, unfortunately, when you get the good ones, they get ostracized or fired or whatever.
That's true.
Because they are good, and they rather have the rotten apples in there. With a lesser intelligence, shoot first, ask questions later, kind of attitude, and we're starting to see this across the board, pretty bad. And not knocking the cops at all, because I've had good and bad experiences with them.
Sure,
where
so have I.
Extremely helpful and extremely non-helpful. So, let's give some kudos to both sides.
Yeah, I agree. I think the police should be praised when they do the right thing and should be criticized when they are in the wrong. Thank you, Mark, for your call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Unfortunately, most people are afraid to criticize the police simply because of a lot of the bad cops. You talk bad about the cops, or you tell the truth about what they did that was some sort of violent act that some of them performed. And then, well, don't be surprised when they target you, when they come after you. There have been city councilors who've been targeted for sort of being critical towards the police. There have been members of the media who have filed reports that have been critical of the police, who've been targeted by the police. They've been pulled over, harassed, arrested. So there's a real culture of, let's stomp this person out who's a critic of the police. And that's what's happening with the Ademo. They're coming after him because he's a critic.
I think that it's clear that the police get the benefit of the doubt in many cases, in many
certainly
people's
by
minds.
The courts and lots of people.
Well, the courts, you basically have to show evidence that that a police officer did something wrong, which is, of course, how things work in the United States. But if a police officer says that you did something wrong, that is evidence. Also, they have something called qualified immunity, and that means that they can operate without fear of being sued in many cases. And well, if you the idea of giving out some kind of immunity from prosecution to a group of people sounds ludicrous here in the freest country in the world, or supposedly the freest country in the world. That sounds nonsensical. Let's just give out some immunity to some people who can operate under the color of law until you say it's police officers. And it's like, well, of course you'd do that. Well, that's going to have consequences. If you give anybody immunity from their actions, and I'm not saying police officers, I'm talking about people. If you give people immunity from their actions, they don't get the signals of the marketplace and these sorts of things. They're going to begin operating in a fashion that is despicable. That's all there is to it. If, for instance, I'm allowed to, when I come into contact with an advertiser, I sell advertising, I'm allowed to punch them in the face. And nobody's going to believe that it happened. There might be some people who get punched in the face, but it was always self-defense. Well, people are going to pretty soon start wondering what's going on here. Why is this guy getting away with this? Well, police, it's always they fought back. They fell down the stairs. A variety of things.
I was scared for my life.
It may be 90% of the time this is true, but the cell phone cameras are picking up this 10% of the time that it's not true. And something needs to change. Some kind of responsibility needs to be put on law enforcement in this country that they don't currently have.
Well, I would like to see what you're talking about there, Mark, and what exactly it would look like, how that would be structured. I don't know. I think certainly opening up the protection market to competition would be a good idea, to where we don't have this one-size-fits-all monopoly, but that's sort of a big idea, and it's unlikely that's going to be proposed anytime soon, even here in New Hampshire, where we've got thousands of libertarians who are moving here and working within the system and outside of the system to try to change things. And I think that's where Copblock's outreach wing comes in. You kind of poo-pooed the idea of doing outreach to people to tell them about their rights earlier on the show, saying that people get the government they deserve. Well, yeah, people are ignorant of their rights. The only way to correct that is to correct that and to get that information into people's hands. That's what I was doing here in Keene, New Hampshire last night. I was in the college neighborhood, as I've done countless times, to hand out Know Your Rights information, Copblock warning flyers. It says, warning, heavy police threat in effect, know your rights. And then it goes through 5 brief points. Record your interaction. Ask, am I being detained? If you're not, leave. Do not answer questions, never consent to searches, and be polite but firm. And then it goes into detail on all 5 of those. And people really appreciate knowing this stuff, and they didn't know it before they encountered me or another cop blocker on the streets who literally puts the information into their hands. Now, do they all go home and read it? Do they keep it? Some of them do, some of them don't. But if you can affect somebody's life and teach them their rights, and then they exercise their rights and help try to protect others from having their rights violated, there's some level of a cumulative effect to that. 855-450-FREE. That's our number. It's Free Talk Live.
Healthy, organic, fresh fish, robust, mouth-watering vegetables, all from your home. It's called aquaponics. This brilliant, self-sustaining protein and veggie system is perfect for year-round growing. Know exactly where your food is coming from. Aquaponicssource.com is the one-stop shop for all your needs. Fish, fish food, plumbing, full systems, classes, and more. Learn to build your own system. Go to aquaponicssource.com for a free guide to aquaponics. That's aquaponicssource.com.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Blockit Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockitPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockitPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockitPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well,
I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa,
Hey,
who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
You
What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is a national health care alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. So if you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have other pain-relieving braces too for your shoulder, ankle, or back. You may be eligible to get these items and more at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to help you, so please call now. 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live. You are invited to join us on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you want to save big time at Amazon, you're going to need Bitcoin and to go to saveatpurse.com. Now, it doesn't have to be in that order. You can go to saveatpurse.com right now and get started. Sign up for an account there, learn more about how it works, and then get your Bitcoin later. Because how would you like to save 20%, 30%, maybe even 40% or more on your purchases at Amazon? Most recently, I saved 20, 30, and 40% on 3 different sales. based on essentially how quickly I wanted to get the products in. And the higher the discount you want, the longer it might take to fulfill your order. And Mark, you've had as much as 45% off.
We did.
Over at Amazon. So pretty sweet discounts. They're available to you. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com and get started there. When you sign up through saveatpurse.com, Free Talk Live will get a very small portion of your future purchases through the site. So let's continue here with your calls and thoughts. Police accountability, police being out of control, bad cops. This is a real problem in the United States. It's actually not as much of a problem in some other countries. What was it, Mark? You were telling me Germany or something has only had like one cop shooting somebody, or was it Iceland? One of these places. There's very, very few. I
don't know what you're asking me. I'm sorry. There's Iceland.
I think you cited some kind of statistic on the air.
Iceland killed one person in the history of its nationhood.
Iceland's police, you mean?
Iceland's police. I'm sorry. Yes, Iceland's police have killed one person, and that guy was wielding a shotgun at them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong. It was a good kill, from what I could tell. By the way, they visited the funeral.
The cops visited.
Yeah, they visited the
dead
funeral
guy's
and brought
funeral.
flowers.
Wow. All right, so let's go to your calls and thoughts. It's a serious issue. A lot of people they have it on their minds, and you're certainly welcome to comment on that or anything that you want to discuss. Let's go first to Dan, calling from San Francisco. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Dan.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Calling because I was listening to that first caller call in and saying how, most cops are great and you shouldn't be messing with cops. Well, I'm black, if you couldn't tell, and you guys heard me call in before. There are 45 million black people in America. Next time, if you don't think there's a problem with cops, just find a random black person. Walk up to them and ask them, tell me your cop story. And I guarantee you that black person will say, which cop story would you like to hear? Because they have 6 or 7. I've got like, if I would tell you 4 right now, I got 4 off the top of my head. I've probably forgot 4 more. And I'm a college-educated veteran, clean cut, respectability politics, just, straight down the line. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for the guys coming up today who might have longer hair, or a little, don't speak in a way of maybe that cops, are people would appreciate. I feel bad for them because if I'm getting it this bad, oh my God, I'm in this liberal bastion in the Bay Area of California.
Right, you're in San Francisco.
Right, exactly. What are these guys getting down in Louisiana or in St. Louis? What are they dealing with? So, I just feel bad. But that's not the main reason I called. And I've been wanting to call you guys for a couple of years now about the situation because I know you guys have religious callers and people who, a couple of you are priests. And on the flip side, I'm an atheist, and I feel like I've been an atheist all my life. But now I consider myself an angry atheist because there are consequences behind religion. And people need to know that. I hate to say this, but my sister is in prison for the rest of her life, and I've lost my niece and my nephew because of religion.
Whoa.
And when I say
what does that mean?
Yeah. And this is a hard story to tell, so if I pause for a moment to gather myself, I will apologize right now. But my sister, I grew up in a very religious family. My sister, my younger sister, she believes it. She, to this day, she believes in God. And I can tell you that my family believes it. They truly believe. So my sister got into a little bit of trouble where she thought the best thing for her to do was to kill her daughter and son so they could go to heaven, because she truly believes in heaven. She truly believes in that. And when you indoctrinate kids like that, they grow up to be adults who believe in things like that.
It's horrible.
And then they'll take actions. So please, you think it's not hurting anyone. You think it's helping, but you're not helping. When you tell a kid there's a God and there's an afterlife and you're all going to go to heaven to be with grandma and grandpa and your dead dog, it's not helping, because they grow up to believe that kind of thing. And if they truly believe, they will act on that. And I'm living proof of what people like my parents, and I don't blame my mom and my dad, their parents taught them that, and their parents taught them that, and their parents taught them. So I can't blame them for what happened, to my family. But it has destroyed my family. And I hope this happens to no one, ever. I I couldn't wish this on my worst enemy, what my family's going through.
Let me ask you this.
Hard.
It sounds horrible. Does your sister believe that, did she sort of, in her mind, sacrifice her ability to go to heaven in order to send her kids there? Was that her thought process? Or was it that she believed that she could ask for forgiveness afterwards? I'm not clear on that part.
Well, she tried to commit suicide herself. She killed them first, and then tried to commit suicide herself. But unfortunately, well, I can't put an adjective on the word, but she didn't. It didn't work. It didn't go. She didn't kill herself. So, and it's just, but she really believes. To this day, she really believes. And I get letters from, what do I do now? I get letters from her from jail now, talking about God, and all I can do is just, read them and change the subjects that, well, my dogs are okay, and everyone, the friends from the neighborhood are asking about you, and I don't talk about it. But it's just, like I said,
I definitely hear what you're saying, that, and it is terribly tragic, that essentially her religious beliefs were her excuse for the crazy idea of murdering her own children. And I guess you're arguing that if she hadn't been raised with those religious beliefs, that she wouldn't have been as crazy or crazy enough to kill her own kids.
Think about it, though. Think about it, Ian. Is it crazy? Is it crazy to want to send your kids to a better place if they're about to go through something you think is horrible here on earth? If you really believe in God, this is my benchmark. If you really believe in God, why are you spending another moment here on earth? Why don't you just kill yourself and go? You know what I mean? Why would you? If you really believe, and my sister really believes, that's how I know she really believes, because she's ready to go. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's necessarily a problem with religion per se.
Well,
it's
not the belief of God here. It's the belief in hell that's the issue. As I've spoken out in many times on the show, is that the belief in hell is an extraordinarily dangerous belief, because it's going to cause people to act differently. Heaven is the opposite, the polar opposite of hell. I believe if there is an afterlife, that afterlife is going to go to Hitler on up. Everybody's going to go to that afterlife. So therefore, rushing off to it. I don't know whether it's good or bad. People must have come here for a reason, would be my thought process. But going rushing off to it doesn't seem like a particularly good idea to me.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And also, you can have religion without having the beliefs you're talking about. You can have religion without, like you said, Mark, a belief in hell. You can have religion without organization, which kind of propagates some of the worst aspects of these organized religions. And for instance, I'm religious. In fact, I'm a minister in the Shire Free Church, but I don't have the requirement that people follow my beliefs or anything like that. It's just a very personal religion for me, just about the nature of the universe and what God is and all of that. So not having those same beliefs for me wouldn't put me in a situation like that. So to indict all religion because some of them are dangerous or could lead people to dangerous conclusions, I don't agree with that.
It's a sad story.
But I'm
sorry
to hear that. Dan, thank you, and thanks for the call tonight. I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
I'd like to hear people defend their belief in afterlife versus based on this story.
855-450-FREE. You're welcome to do that. That's our toll-free number. It's 855-450-3733, the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years, and satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of .211 Bitcoin or more.
Hi, I'm Rick Ossick with Famous Footwear. Did you know that premature birth is the #1 killer of babies? That's why we support the March of Dimes in the fight against premature birth. Join us in supporting cutting-edge research, treatment programs, and outreach to help moms have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Learn how you can help save babies' lives at marchofdimes.org.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Keenvention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at keenvention.info. Keenvention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Daryl W. Perry, illegal Uber driver Christopher David, Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp, State Representative Mike Sylvia, rated an A+ by the NHLA, the Seditious Sirens, the Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias, tech guru Brian Sovereign, cop blocker J.P. Freeman, new mover Dr. Taryn Lupo, longtime political activist Dennis Goddard, Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul, Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
New Hampshire is under quarantine as walking corpses devour the flesh of the living. Max is 11 years old and surviving alone. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the dead swarm his home. Now he must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to improvise his escape. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, or read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Police accountability on the menu for discussion. Also just went into the area of theology, belief in the afterlife, specifically a bad afterlife, which you say, Mark, is a huge danger to people's mental well-being. We just had an example of one lady who murdered her children because she wanted to send them to heaven.
A caller called in and told the story about his sister who, was having a lot of problems in her life and believed that the best solution to her problem was to send her children to heaven. And she believed very firmly in that. I'm not claiming that normal folks believe this. I'm just saying that this does seem like a logical conclusion, is that the very best thing you can do for somebody is send them off to heaven, right?
You could see that, I suppose, sure.
I mean, because they could make terrible mistakes in their life, especially if they're young people. Young people can't, they haven't yet come to an age where they could make a decision. God wouldn't hold them responsible. So the caller believed that religion is responsible for a great deal of evil in the world. I think that it's the belief in the afterlife, specifically the belief in hell and its correspondent heaven. Whereas if there wasn't a hell, then there's sort of nothing to worry about. You might as well live out your life because you're going to go to heaven or the afterlife anyway, whatever that might be. So there's no impetus to send somebody to heaven. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what my thought process on this is, and I'd like to hear rebuttals to it. I mean, most people have a religious belief, and I can assure you that whenever religion's brought up on the show, the phones light up. So, I mean, here's a case where a guy's sister kills his nephew and niece to send them to heaven. Isn't this the most logical thing she could have done if you believe in God?
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Yeah, well, because I believe in God, just not that kind of God. I don't believe in the God that would create something that he then wants to torture. That just doesn't make sense to me. But let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We've got Anthony listening in Wisconsin. You're on Free Talk Live. Anthony, are you in the Madison area?
Yeah, outside of Madison.
Excellent. So you're listening to WXXM FM. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that story. Oh man, what a heart-wrenching one.
Terrible. It is.
To tell. To be consumed by the religion. Gosh, you look back in history. How has religion affected people over time? It's a pretty strong subject, and yeah, it does affect people, good and bad. And by all means, it can definitely alter, one's pattern of thought to think that it's that it's a good thing to take somebody out and in hopes that they're supposed to be going someplace else because you were taught that way. Yeah, I don't know. That's not my personal.
So what were you actually calling about tonight?
But, the police state.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was regarding that. The way things are turning, they're not. They're a far cry from what they were for me growing up in the 70s. There, where you get pulled over as a little kid riding your big wheel down the highway versus going downtown. They just bring you home and have a talk with parents. No big deal.
Yeah, now they're going to lock you in the cuffs and throw you in the back of the cruiser.
Now they're going to give you the beat down and then lock you in the car and then off downtown you go.
You'll be lucky to go back to your parents because they'll probably be charged with child endangerment for letting you be out like
on your
that.
Big wheel. Right. You laugh because it's true.
Now you're going to a foster home. You may never see your parents again, and enjoy the sodomy.
Yeah, and what good came from that? Really, and the training on it. Who is responsible for training our officers? There has to be some central body that sends out information to the different states and says, hey, this is what we're going to be teaching, and this is what we're going to be enforcing.
I think there are some federal requirements. Obviously, for police departments that are taking federal grant money, then they're going to have strings attached to that. But I think that you will find that individual departments and states do have different specs. For instance, there's some places where police officers are not accepted for a job, or a potential officer is not accepted if they have an IQ that's too high. But not every department has that policy. So I think that the rules are different depending on where you go. But all that said, I certainly have a concern about more centralization and more federal control over the police. I know some people see that as the solution to policing issues, but I certainly don't. Anthony, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate the thoughts. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Why is centralizing control over police, Mark, a bad idea?
Well, one of the things that I find, we can look at the FBI. Here's a central, a federal policing agency, and it has the least accountability of any policing agency out there. So much so that the FBI actually has a policy against recording and video recording interviews with suspects and witnesses and things like that.
It's unbelievable. We learned this because our friend Rich Paul, who's our Friday night co-host here on Free Talk Live, was charged with selling cannabis, and the FBI was involved in that case. And we learned through direct testimony of the FBI agent on the stand under oath that that's what their policy is. That in the year 2015, that the FBI still just takes handwritten notes when they're interviewing people.
Right. And it's not that I don't think these guys get a lot of these guys and gals get a lot of training. It's not that I think that every one of them is some kind of despicable, terrible person. It's just that when you look at the incentives people are given, and, as a police officer, the incentive isn't necessarily to find out if somebody's innocent as much as it is to find a guilty party. And, everybody's got their biases, and there's all kinds of instances where the FBI, Martha Stewart went to prison for a year for lying to the FBI, not doing anything else. But the claim is she didn't say something exactly proper to a federal police officer, and that's a real problem as far as I'm concerned.
Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We go next to Lars, listening also in Madison, Wisconsin, to the Mike 92.1. Hey, Lars, go ahead. Lars?
My name is Lawrence.
Lawrence, I apologize about that. They totally misspelled that one. Go ahead.
Not a problem. Look, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, gentlemen. Sure. Initially, what I was calling about, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, you sound real clear. Go ahead.
Good. Initially, what I was calling you about, I heard a commercial on your show about minerals, and I wanted to find out what that exact website was. And does your radio show actually support the use of plant-derived minerals? Are you a sponsor, or are they just a paid commercial?
That sounds like a paid commercial. I don't think that's one of ours. Is
right.
It, Mark?
There's a whole bunch of different organizations that sell ads on any given radio show, and in that case, I don't know anything about them necessarily.
I
take a whole handful of supplements every day, but I don't know what that commercial's about.
I suspect it may be the Genesis Communications Network, which is our syndicate. That may be one of their ads, and I'll put you on hold after if you want to hang on. I'll put the board operator on, and maybe he'll know more about that over at the
I
network.
talked to the board operator. He didn't know. But
okay,
anyway,
then we have no idea.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I just wanted, because I'm actually a senior executive marketing director for a plant-derived mineral company that they're sponsoring, and I just was curious because I've actually seen people, and I actually have interviewed people around the country. That's what I do. I have over 2,000 interviews of people who have been able to improve their health. I just recorded a lady who was able to reverse stage 4 breast cancer in 6 weeks using plant-derived minerals. So I was just curious whether you folks sponsor that.
That's an interesting question. If you are interested in advertising on Free Talk Live, you can reach out to Mark directly. He's the guy sitting across from me here. Mark Edge, your email address is mark at freetalklive.com. But we shouldn't work those details out on the air. So your other point, real quick, go ahead.
Mark at Free Talk.
Free Talk Live. Okay. freetalklive.com.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And the other thing is, I wanted to go to the police portion. Okay.
Sure.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I've traveled all around the world, and I've had encounters with police departments all over the United States and in other countries. And I have to say that every place that I've lived outside of the United States, I've had no problems with the police department at all. I lived in Japan for 5 years, and they don't carry, at least they didn't when I was there, they don't carry weapons. They actually carry nunchucks.
Wow.
Right?
Well, they're probably pretty deadly with them.
Well, I mean, that's a very good deterrent, knowing that the person you're going up against, is a martial arts expert.
Lars, thank you for the feedback. If you got another thing, call us another night. We're on 7 nights a week. We'd be happy to hear from you. I want to get some more folks in here, but thank you, Lars, for your call tonight. Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. We got a full hour still to go here. Plenty of time for you if you want to join the discussion, whether it's about police accountability or hell. Anything goes here on Free Talk Live.
When the most powerful and destructive witch in 13th century France chooses a successor, her frightened young protege, Liana, escapes into the wild. Pursued by witch hunters, the town watch, and her mistress, Liana's only hope is a pair of newly returned crusaders, one with PTSD, the other a complete rascal. The Witch's Hand by Wendy Joseph is a cut above the usual sword and sorcery fare. Available now at your favorite booksellers or visit wendyjosephwrites.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 17th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,177 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $268. Antiwar.com reports that Turkey reported that its Air Force shot down a drone along the Syrian border on Friday after the drone was repeatedly warned to turn back and did not respond. Turkish officials say the incident was within the rules of engagement for their forces. The big question here is whose drone this actually is, and that's unclear so far. Turkey just flat out says they don't know, while the U.S. says they suspect the Russians, likely in no small part because the U.S. always suspects the Russians. Russia, however, says they are not missing any aircraft and did not offer any insight into whose drone it might have been. No one else is claiming ownership of the drone either, though the Islamic State has been known to fly some limited drones in the airspace. Turkey had made high-profile threats in recent weeks to shoot Russian warplanes out of the sky if they got too close to the border, and that seems to be informing a lot of the speculation about this being a Russian drone, though the fact that a remotely piloted drone did not respond to warning broadcasts seems a little silly and seems mostly focused on Turkey trying to sell the idea that they tried to avoid the incident. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports traffic near Los Angeles, already notorious for gridlock, was even more restricted late Friday after mudslides buried a major thoroughfare and forced drivers onto an alternate route for the evening commute. Heavy rains soaked Southern California and triggered landslides on Thursday. By early Friday, the mud had buried a good portion of Interstate 5 in Castaic, about 40 miles north of downtown Los Angeles. Officials also said the rocks, mud, and debris stranded motorists in about 200 vehicles. Dozens of semi-trucks and 2 tour buses were among the stranded vehicles, according to the LA Times. Traffic was shut down in both directions on the freeway, although most lanes had reopened by late Friday. The slide spelled trouble for Friday's afternoon commute as drivers were diverted onto U.S. Route 101. Traffic was further snarled when authorities responded to a possible jumper on an overpass above the 101 highway. Heavy rains soaked the region on Thursday, which were followed by flash floods. More rain is forecast for Saturday. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports turmoil swirled again around the Republican-controlled Benghazi committee on Friday as it questioned a senior aide to Hillary Clinton, prompting fresh accusations that the panel was created to damage the Democratic frontrunner's presidential campaign. In a 6-hour closed-door interview, members and staff sought answers from Huma Abedin, for years a close confidant of Hillary Clinton. Abedin has served as the former Secretary of State's assistant at the time of the 2012 attacks on U.S. diplomatic facilities in Benghazi, Libya, that killed 4 Americans. Democratic Representative and panel member Elijah Cummings told reporters that summoning Abedin raised more questions about whether the panel is a taxpayer-funded effort to derail the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. Cummings said Abedin, now campaign vice chairwoman of Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, had no responsibilities related to the tragedy the committee was set up to investigate. Representative Trey Gowdy, the panel's Republican chairman, said Abedin's testimony would assist the committee in writing a final report. Organized originally to probe the 2012 attacks on U.S. facilities in Benghazi, Libya, the committee has come under attack by Democrats who say it is a partisan investigation unleashed by the Republican majority House. The committee has come under especially harsh criticism since Republican Kevin McCarthy, the number 2 House Republican, suggested in a recent television interview that the probe had helped to drive down Clinton's presidential poll ratings. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
While Digital Communications Coordinator Brian Tyler is considered by many of his coworkers to be the cutest guy around the offices of Western Psychological Publishing Services, employees conceded today the 27-year-old is not even particularly attractive.
Brian gets a lot of attention from girls around here, but if I saw him in a bar, I don't know if I would even notice him. Put him next to Glenn or Mike, and then, sure, he actually looks pretty good.
Co-workers explained to reporters that by everyday standards, Tyler would at best be considered moderately good-looking, but explained that given the abundance of unattractive men at the publishing firm, female employees often go out of their way to make small talk with the 27-year-old at his desk or eat lunch with him in the office kitchen.
I saw him walking to work the other day, and half the guys on the street were easily better looking than him. But here, he's the hottest guy around. It's almost kind of sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd still f him.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Saturday edition of the program. Joining you in our studio, it's Ian and Mark. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. Topics so far tonight have included the police accountability, the Copblock Police Accountability Tour, or rather the Mobile Accountability for Cops Tour, as it is being called, is on the road and has been halted or arrested in Kansas. Kansas City area, Shawnee, Kansas, was the actual police department to arrest our friend Ademo Freeman. He's in a jail cell right now. Hopefully he'll be getting out on Monday afternoon after some kind of a hearing with a judge, but that remains to be seen. People are trying to raise some money for his bond in Indiana, which is where the warrant was issued for him. The video of the arrest is up over at freekeen.com. There's also a video to the original time in Noblesville, Indiana, when he was threatened by the police after a chalking incident, after he and other Copblock participants went and chalked free speech, what should be free speech, out in front of the police department. They've targeted them now with warrants, and you can learn more about it over at freekeen.com or copblock.org/Mac-tour. That was sort of what we started the show out here with tonight. You're certainly welcome to comment on that. A lot of people do want to comment on police accountability, and of course Copblock is the primary organization out there helping to hold the police accountable, I think probably in the entire world. It's an amazing group. So there's that. And then a discussion of religion. And the question, I think, is still out there, Mark. I don't think anyone has answered your question about hell. Can you recap that question for our audience?
Well, mostly we had a caller call in who'd his sister had killed her 2 kids because of her belief that they would go to heaven. And it makes reasonable sense to me that if you're going to believe in heaven and hell, that you wouldn't think that a fair and just God would send somebody who is too young to really understand the consequences of their action to hell, right? Like, I don't know what the age is. Let's call it 12, 18, 22, 187. I don't know what the age is that somebody becomes responsible for their actions, and likely somebody would say that God's the only one who knows that, so fine. But isn't it sort of a reasonable action? And I'm not claiming with the caveat of an existence of a eternal damnation, and I don't believe in it. Isn't it a reasonable action to kill your kids, because that way they'll never go? If you love them, send them to heaven.
You're not actually suggesting that.
No, I'm not. I think it's insane, but I don't know how to. I don't know really how to look at this. Otherwise, I've always believed, for a very long time, I believed that hell is a really detrimental belief system. I think that mostly the reason people have it is just that there's certain people that they want to punish, right? Like Hitler can't possibly have gone to the afterlife; he has to have gone to hell.
855-450-FREE. That's our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We actually have Skype open. You're welcome to dial in on that. Skype username is lrn.fm. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts, Tim, listening in Wyoming, you're on Free Talk Live, and you're listening via the TuneIn app. Go ahead, Tim.
Right. I'm in Wyoming, yeah. You were talking about the police accountability and talking about heaven and hell and many other subjects as well. I heard minerals, et cetera, but... now, when you're saying about police accountability and you're saying decentralization of police, I understand. I agree with that. I mean, I mean centralization in a locality, in a municipality, in a county, let's say, a county sheriff's department, a city police department. Yes, they should have the county or the city should have the oversight on that particular department, whatever it happens to be. There shouldn't be an overarching federal control of these agencies, because everybody in the country pays for it, for one, which is unconstitutional. And also the states' rights are completely being ignored. I mean, when the federal government says you have to do these certain things, you have to accept this equipment from us, you have to have a certain training, you have to only carry this certain type of firearm, then they're erasing the sovereignty, and I'm using the word sovereignty because it actually is becoming a more of an in-your-face aspect of things today. Sovereignty is what we are. We are sovereign human beings. We have sovereignty in our states. We once were a sovereign nation. So what are we doing today? Are we looking at the control of the federal government over everything we say, do, think, and ever want to say, do, and think?
Well, why not just have state police? I mean, with your line of thinking here, why not just state police organizations?
Well,
I mean,
we do have state police. I mean, there's state police.
We have federal police too.
I'm from right. I understand. But at the same time, we have. I mean, every state has its own highway patrol, if you want to call it. They call them state patrol in some cases. But I'm from California. I'm living in Wyoming now, and California has a highway patrol that actually is a quasi or paramilitary organization. They continue to push their agenda. I mean, they push the federal agenda for one, but they push the state government's agenda on the people. I mean, I haven't noticed as much as here in Wyoming, but I know that people do complain about the police wherever you happen to go. What I have noticed in my small town is that there's one police vehicle that actually has a Department of Homeland Security sticker on the back window. I'm not sure if that particular officer that drives the vehicle is the federal officer, so to speak, in the area, or if it's a sign that the whole department is actually under that control. I have no idea. I've been meaning to ask that. I want to go to a city council meeting and find out for sure.
Yeah, that'd be a fun question to ask. I mean, we know that.
It's a fun question to ask.
They probably don't know.
put a target on my head or on my back.
Oh, you better believe you're going to get a target on your head if you start questioning the police and you start asking for accountability. I mean, that's why they've targeted our friend Ademo Freeman, because he's one of the primary people that does that. And it's certainly true that the Department of Homeland Security and the federal government is sending money to the police departments. Of course, in a lot of places, I don't know if it's how many places in Wyoming have it, but it seems like they're targeting even small towns now to give them all this free stuff. You know, they're policing their toys, so they've got these bear cats, the ballistic engineered whatever the heck counterattack truck thing, where they're giving away from taxpayer dollars. They're giving away $300,000 armored personnel carriers to these police departments, and those come along with requirements. You know, they have to do certain things in order to get the supposedly free thing, and part of the freebie, you know, the requirements is that if the feds come to town and they want to use the truck, they're supposed to be allowed to use the truck, all the while the local department is required to pay for all the upkeep on the truck, you know, making sure that it's got all the service that it needs and the gasoline and everything like that. And that's just one example. You know, there are a bunch more requirements every single time they take money from the feds.
Well, as you say, I mean, the requirements are basically, I've said this for years, and I mean, you know it too. The fact of the matter is that every single entity who works underneath the federal government or under state government or India, I mean, they have a small string or a large string attached to them. They're a puppet in some way. But when it's basically a rope around the neck of the department, it's not even a puppet string. It's a rope around the neck. We're going to tighten the noose if and when you do not do this. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's that absolute control. I mean, as you're saying that, you know, $300,000. I mean, that's not as much as an MRAP. I mean, and one of those
they've done that too.
Expensive.
They've given away the mine-resistant armored, whatever the heck the AP stands for. Hey, thanks, Tim, for your call tonight. I appreciate the thoughts. Let's continue here. Marco is listening in Madison, Wisconsin, to the Mike 92.1. Hey, Marco.
You're talking to Margot?
Margot.
It sounds more like a Margot, perhaps?
Yeah, this is Margot Redmond in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm 71 years old, and I may bring a slightly new perspective to your discussion about police accountability.
Please do.
Well, I live in Madison, Wisconsin, but I also have a summer home in Prince Edward Island, Canada. A year ago in Canada, in a minor parking incident where I backed into a vehicle, maybe. I couldn't see the scratch. I couldn't feel the impact, but I was told I had backed into a vehicle. A RCMP, that's what they call them up there, the federal officers, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, assaulted me.
Oh, my.
In a minor parking incident. This was...
How old were you at the time, Margot?
I was 70.
Okay.
All right, Margot, I want to hear the rest of your story. Stand by. We will continue, and you can join us here. 855-450-FREE. That's you, the listener, if you want to become a caller. 855-450-3733. More with Margot. Your calls and thoughts welcome. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I'm the president of the largest private news and research network in the world. And I paid for this airtime because I have an important message to the American people. There's a change coming that the government isn't telling you about. This change has deep implications for life in America, from where you shop to the doctors you visit and the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. Thing is, I was right then too. A few years ago, I warned that housing prices would collapse. They did. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash. They did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all.
You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $2 higher at $1,184 per ounce. Silver is up 2 cents at $16.18 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $261 US. Check out our Halloween special on Australian silver spiders, and if you've been looking for silver eagles, we've lowered that price too. Give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You're here with Free Talk Live, and you can join us on the phones. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Police accountability to religion. We've been in both areas tonight. You can also bring up whatever's on your mind as we continue with your calls and thoughts. But first, I want to let you know about ProXPN and an awesome offer that is the best ever for ProXPN. For those of you with Bitcoin, ProXPN is a virtual private network, and they encrypt your online data before it reaches your internet service provider, which means your ISP won't know what you're doing online anymore, which means they can't sell that info. They can't turn it over to the government either. So that's important privacy, and you can get started over at proxpn.com. However, if you have Bitcoin, you can save big time at proxpn.com/amp. That's /AMP as in advertise, market, and promote, like our Free Talk Live AMP program, because ProXPN is also behind the ideas of liberty. They want to help Free Talk Live spread those ideas. So you go to proxpn.com/amp. You pay with Bitcoin. You get 2 years of ProXPN for less than $50 worth of Bitcoin. $5 of your purchase goes to the Free Talk Live AMP program, and you get the best deal that we've ever talked about ProXPN when you pay with Bitcoin. Now, if you don't yet have Bitcoin and you still want to use ProXPN at a great discount, then you can use code FTL50, and that'll save you 50% off the regular monthly price for the lifetime of your account when you buy their annual account with that code FTL50, and that gets you the price below the price of a fancy cup of coffee every single month, which is pretty darn good, but it's not quite as good as that Bitcoin deal. So proxpn.com/amp, and if you don't have Bitcoin, you can use code FTL50 for that 50% off. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, we've got Margot, who was just beginning to tell us about an incident in Prince Edward Island, Canada. Back, you were 70 years old at the time of the incident. There was a parking snafu that a police officer, you said, assaulted you, and that was kind of where we left your story. So please continue.
Right. And what it demonstrated to me is that we hear a lot about how Black lives matter, and they do matter. And I know that young Black men are particularly targeted, and I don't want to minimize what it means to be in the minority community. But I think we need to face that the majority community, white middle-class people, including elderly people, are also subject to excessive police force.
Absolutely.
And when I came back to the United States and talked about what happened to me, and I was a little concerned that people would think, what kind of an old lady are you, that somebody grabbed you and sprained your arm and terrified you. I was afraid people would think there was something wrong with me, but what I found was that everybody I told my story to, almost without exception, had a story to tell back.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like your earlier caller said, that most Black people can tell you about their unfortunate interactions with the police. I found that white middle-class people were saying to me, wait till I tell you what happened to my brother.
This is what I was telling you earlier,
sister-in-law.
Mark, when you were saying that the police need to enforce things more consistently to create more victims so people can open up their eyes. More and more people are being enforced upon for ridiculous nonsense. That's happening.
But we're acting as though this is a racial issue, and it isn't just a racial issue.
No, it's not. It's a power
only
issue.
In part. It's only in part a racial issue. I want to refer to the daughter of Eric Garner, the man in Staten Island who said, I cannot breathe, over and over again, while he was killed by the police sitting on him because he was selling cigarettes without a license. It didn't deserve to take his life.
Killed for tax evasion.
In any case, remember that his daughter was interviewed by CNN, and they asked, is this a race issue, do you think? And she said it's a power issue.
And she was
her everlasting credit.
Absolutely right. How did they assault you? Can you tell us just a little bit more about your case?
Well, my case was an interesting one in that the officer that did this to me, an RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, was a federal officer.
Mm-hmm.
We have no equivalent of this in the United States. Our federal officers are not empowered to act in municipal matters without consulting the municipal authorities. But this man did, and he claimed, and I guess with correctness, that a officer from any province in Canada, and he was from the other side, the Pacific side. He was from British Columbia. He was a security guard in plain clothes, off-duty, having lunch, watching me parallel park. He formed an opinion that I had backed into this vehicle. I felt no impact. I saw no damage. I suspected it was a scam. It might not have been, but I could not see any damage. He decided to intervene between me and the fellow who owned the vehicle. We were having an amicable conversation. I just simply didn't agree that there was damage.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody asked for my papers. I didn't volunteer them. It isn't the custom in America to do so. In Canada, I think it's a different culture, a far more, what shall I say, authority-conscious culture. They tell me they offer their papers immediately. I was told by the police in Madison, Wisconsin, that I did
insurance.
nothing wrong.
Okay.
But because I didn't offer my papers immediately, because I had doubts, I didn't leave the scene, but I just stood my ground because I was, in the eyes of this officer, stubborn, I guess. He decided that he was going to grab me, and he didn't ID himself as an officer.
Oh, that's
I had to ask
crazy.
him who he was, and then he identified that he was a federal officer from British Columbia. He was a security guard to the Premier of British Columbia, who was on the island for a conference. And I said, why would you intervene in a parking incident when you're from British Columbia and this is Prince Edward Island?
That's baffling.
He explained to me that in Canada, a federal officer, unlike our federal officers, can intervene in any province on any issue, even jaywalking if they wish. And I, as an American, I think that we are a different culture. Again, I said to him, why would you want to be bothered? Why would you do this? Why don't you call the municipal authorities if you think that I'm behaving incorrectly? And he said, you're under arrest, and he grabbed me, and you'll go to jail. When the municipal police arrived,
Under arrest for what?
They refused to write up a report. They said if there was any damage, it was under $500. They wouldn't take me to jail. But he had already sprained my arm and sent me into shock. The only reason that he did not break my arm was that a passerby with a cell phone took a photograph.
That makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Doesn't look good for a plainclothes guy to be grabbing an old woman.
For these good Samaritans who take out their cameras, their cell phones.
And that's what Copblock is all about. Thank you, Margot, for your call and sharing your story tonight. And, you know, you never know who the police are going to mess with. I mean, I think she was right about that. They're picking on an old lady here. She's 70 years old and grabbing her and assaulting her in an unnecessary manner. I mean, she sounds, obviously we don't know what it was like on the scene, but come on, really? Do you have to grab the old lady like that? Do you have to arrest somebody for, you know, a traffic snafu?
I don't think you need to put cuffs on. If he wants to arrest her, then it's time to go to the car. For the arrest or whatever. I mean, I don't even understand what the reason for the arrest is at that circumstance.
You never know what's going to happen when you pull a video camera out and record a scene with the police. But in my opinion, it's generally a good idea. It's generally something that helps protect people rather than putting them in further danger. Yes, you could end up being targeted by the police for doing that, but as she said, thank God for the people who are willing to do it. And you could be one of those people. I'll actually have some app recommendations for you. It's Free Talk Live.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. You can help by joining the AMP program for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com and getting perks. That's amp.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course, you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And how would you like to get some business cards? 500 of them for less than $10. $9.99 is what you'll pay. That's a starting price. You can upgrade them to like fancy things like metallic finish, spot gloss, raised print. But for your basic business cards, starting at just $9.99, 500 of them, you get them with code FTL. And there's tons of layouts and design options, so your card can really reflect you.
Right. When you say basic business card, what I think of is sort of white with black printing.
No, it's not like that.
Yeah, this is full color, glossy business cards.
So you go to vistaprint.com, use code FTL, and that is what you can do over at their checkout to get the discount. Plus, for your small business, Vistaprint can help you out with all kinds of products for your home and office needs. Business cards, postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations. Go learn more, get started, and use their super easy website to upload your logo to one of their existing designs. You can upload an entire design or just use their customizer to create your card right there on the spot. Over at vistaprint.com, use code FTL like Free Talk Live as we continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's go first to Clyde in Virginia Beach. Clyde, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark, listening to WNIS.
Wow, it's been a while. And that poor old lady, that must have been a freak grabbed her.
Oh, you're talking about the old lady who was assaulted by a cop in Canada. Go ahead, Clyde.
Yeah, I bet they, like she was saying, it don't matter what color you are or what you are. Some of these cops are on such an ego trip. I grew up in the 70s, long hair. They pulled me, throw me down on the asphalt, put the foot on my back, search my car, jerk me around all the time. I didn't say nothing because I didn't want to tell my car. But we be down at the beach, and you be messing with the girls. Cops want to show off, so they want to grab you. I'd beat them up. You go to the court, judge find you guilty, give you 30 days of jail, suspend the sentence, and give you a $135 fine. We thought that was a joke. But when the assembly passed a law that if a cop thinks he's threatened, it's minimum 6 months, I didn't fight them no more. Can't fight the law. And most of them, most ones I know doing an ego trip and they're not there for the real reason. But I know some good cops, too. The guys are really straight up. They try to do right by everybody. But the trouble is, there's so very few of them.
Right, and they get driven out of the policing world because there are so few of them, and they feel alone and they feel threatened by the bad cops that are surrounding them, who are more than happy to turn their nastiness against whatever good cops there are. So if there are any good cops, they stay quiet and they don't actually do any good to stop the bad cops. It's an absolute mess. And Clyde, I think you've summed it up well. Thanks for your call tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Clyde's right. You generally can't fight the law because they've got all the cards in their corner. They got the judge, the prosecutor, in some cases the defense attorneys are on their side. The law is written and the court rules are written to favor the prosecution, not to favor the defense. In a lot of ways, the deck is completely stacked against you as the poor innocent defendant in a system that is overwhelming with force against you.
Police even have a little saying for it is you might beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride, which is to say that they can punish you simply with their arrest power.
Even if it gets thrown out later.
Right, and that they bear no consequence. Now, I don't know what the consequence should be for an officer that arrests somebody or takes somebody downtown but then doesn't pursue the arrest, or it's found later that their arrest was intended to violate somebody's rights or whatever. But there should be consequences, and there aren't.
And as far as fighting the law, physically fighting, terrible idea. You don't want to do that. They're going to hurt you or kill you if you do that. But you can hold them accountable. And, if you want to call that fighting, that's up to you. I don't call it that. But it is effective. It's one of the most effective things that you can do. That lady that called in said she believes she would have been hurt even further by this cop had someone not pulled out their cell phone and she said take a picture, but they might have been recording, and used their cell phone to record this in some way, that incident. So that's a way to sort of push back, if you will, to resist the continued aggression by these police, is to hold them accountable, show the world what they're doing. And that's one of the things they recommend over at copblock.org is almost everyone in America, in North America, has these smartphones. At least it was like 60% of adults, the last I heard. Certainly when you go down to the younger generations, it's probably more like 80 or 90 or 100%, or darn close to 100%.
Seems like at 8 years old, they all get one.
So, you've got the device on you, generally, that you can use to help keep people safe. When you see the police harassing people, you pull that device out and you start recording. Now, there are some specific apps I would recommend that you have. Real briefly, and we'll get back into your calls. One, Bambuser. Great app. BAMBUSER. It allows you to live stream video to the internet. The internet records it for you. And that means that if a cop grabs your phone and smashes the phone, odds are good your video is still going to get out. It's still going to be on your Bambuser account. Super useful. It's free. So there's no reason not to have Bambuser. That's a great one. Looks like Twitter's got a Periscope app that I don't know about how recordy it is. I haven't used it for the cop blocking purpose yet, but I think it's got some promise.
That sounds good.
So I'd look into that one. But Bambuser's the tried and true method. Also, Cell 411. It was developed by a friend of the show, listener Virgil Viduva, great programmer, brilliant activist. And Cell 411 is actually an alert app that if you and your friends and family members or neighbors have Cell 411, when you have an incident with the police or some other thing that's going on that's an emergency kind of situation, maybe a fire or a medical emergency, you can actually send an alert out to your friends or family members or neighbors. You can have different groups of people. You send out an alert to let them know what's happening to you, or they can send out an alert to let you know what's happening to them, and then you can respond and say, oh, yeah, I'm in the area. I'll come and help out. It's a super cool app, and I think it's going to be a big help for the cop blockers. Cell 411, CELL space 411. But Bambuser, if you can only have one app for police accountability, I would say that would be the one. And even if you don't have the app or you haven't taken the time to download it, you should still have a link to your video camera option on your phone. That way, at the very least, you can record it directly to your phone at the bare minimum. And put the link right on your homepage, in your little phone desktop thing.
Yeah, right there in the front page.
Hit the home button, boom, right there. So let's continue with your calls and thoughts here. Let's go to Bill, listening in Virginia. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Bill. Bill?
Hi.
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks. I was up in, I'm in Virginia, but I was up in Rochester, New York this morning and got to see a few snowflakes. So I guess winter is upon us here.
Oh, boy.
The reason that I'm calling is I'm curious about your view regarding religion that you've expressed. And I heard you mention that heaven, and tell me if I got any of this wrong, but that heaven seems like a pretty good idea, so you're all on board for heaven, but you don't think hell is in our best interest, either now or in the afterlife. So we're going to nix hell. And I always kind of thought that if there is a God who created all that is, then he's supposed to make the rules, and we're supposed to follow him rather than vice versa.
Sure, that sounds fine. I just don't know how to follow him, or her.
I'm so glad you asked. There is a way.
Okay.
And it's a way that God has communicated to us that we can indeed follow, but it involves submission to him. And I am a Christian, and in my mind, what that means is that I see the Bible as God's revelation to us.
Yeah, but I don't.
And that,
there's a lot of things in it that I find very difficult to believe.
Okay.
And what I find, hold on. Wait a second.
Go ahead.
You see, as a former Christian, I came to the conclusion that the God of the Bible must be a psychopath. And here's my, I understand it's a really strong statement, but I've got a kid, and if he did something wrong, I certainly wouldn't say stick him in the eye with a red-hot poker, which would be small punishment compared to, say, eternal damnation. Now, I've done my best to follow what I think is right and just, but the Bible just isn't it, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll let Bill respond here. Bill, stand by. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, which are coming up.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without a Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
My dad was 59 when he collapsed from a heart attack late last year. Just this past August was when we spread his ashes on the St. Croix River. I loved my dad, but boy was he stubborn. He hadn't been to the doctor in over 25 years. His excuse? He simply couldn't afford it. He wasn't a rich man by any means. At less than $107 per month, LibertyOnCall.org would have been the perfect alternative for my father. Don't wait. Go to LibertyOnCall.org right now, for not just your sake, but for the sake of your loved ones. Again, that's LibertyOnCall.org.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
If worst comes to worst, will you be prepared? You don't have to be a survivalist to prepare for the unexpected. Storing necessary supplies like food, water, and emergency equipment is simply taking responsibility for ourselves and our families when it counts the most. StrategicShelters.com offers emergency supplies and a secure way to store them, and provides protection for loved ones in the event of an extreme natural or man-made disaster. To find out more, visit StrategicShelters.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. I'm not going to give you the numbers at this point. because the phones are loaded up. If you don't get in tonight, we're going to do our best to get you on. But if you don't get in, don't worry. We do a live Sunday show. This is our live Saturday show, and you can join us then. In fact, it's a lot easier to get in pretty much every other night of the week. Saturday's our biggest show.
It is.
But we do the show 7 nights a week live. So anytime you want to join us to talk about these issues or whatever's on your mind, we're here for you.
Yeah, you can call in with whatever you want. So if that means if you didn't get on tonight, you can get on tomorrow.
And we haven't mentioned our fancy brand new website that actually allows you to easily listen to the show live. When you go to freetalklive.com during our live hours, which are 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time, the live player's now right there on the front page, which is a cool new feature on the site. There's also a bunch of things that have been redesigned and tweaked and improved. So if it's been a little while since you've checked out freetalklive.com, go on back. There's now actually a blog section. It's called FTL News. You can click on that. And Mark, you've been practicing with doing some blogging here for Free Talk Live, which is super cool. And there's more features coming. It's just that I wanted to get this thing launched. It's been a long time in development. And so for those of you who've been waiting for it, thanks for your patience. For those of you who had no idea it was in development, well, here it is.
Congratulations.
Go and check it out and enjoy. It's free. It's still free. It wasn't free for me, I'll tell you that. But it's free for you at freetalklive.com. So please go do that. And if you like the show, you like the website, you like the idea that we're spreading the ideas of liberty, please become an amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. That's the best way to get behind the show and help us get on more radio stations and bring the ideas of freedom to more people all around the globe for $5 a month. That's all it costs to you, and then you get all kinds of perks like access to the AMP Only Facebook group and more. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. As we go back to Bill in Virginia, Bill, you were, I guess, kind of pitching Mark on the idea of being a Christian. And Mark, you were sort of pointing out that you don't think that a good God, would actually create something and then proceed to torture it.
Well, create an individual, create a child. I mean, I wouldn't even talk about a creation. I mean, we're not talking about ants here. God proposes us to be His children, and I have one child, but I would assume that the most loving being in all of His own creation would love me greatly. And so, if I tried my very best to sort of figure out the universe as it is, looked at this book that calls itself the Holy Bible. Or the people call the Holy Bible, and other ancient texts. And the best conclusion I could come up with was that these are the interpretation of Bronze Age nomads or whatever, that's fine. I mean, God exists. I'm not disputing that. I'm just disputing the interpretation of that the Bible gives of.
All right, Bill, go ahead.
Mark, I cannot possibly address all of the misstatements that you just made at one time. You wouldn't give me that much time, but I guess I'll start with, if I understand your position appropriately, you believe that your love for your son is greater than the biblical God's love for your son.
I don't believe the biblical God exists.
Well, then let's just say the God that is described in the Bible.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the God of the Bible would not be as loving towards your son as you would be.
The God of the Bible is a psychopath.
Well,
so that's a lesser included. That's a lesser included yes.
You're doing your best to cut off the discussion, but
all right.
I guess if I could propose the God of the Bible, and what you're saying is what you understand as the God of the Bible, He is not as loving towards your son as you would be.
Yeah, because Mark wouldn't torture his son with fire, and the God of the Bible absolutely would.
Okay, well, I guess
that's right, isn't it?
What I would, I don't. When you say torture with fire, what are you talking about?
Well, eternal damnation in hell. That sounds like a pretty fiery kind of place, right?
Okay. So you're saying because hell sounds like a bummer, I'm going to deny the existence of hell, even though it's in the Bible.
No, what I'm saying. Well, the hell's sort of in the Bible, but it's difficult to really quantify. Sure. It doesn't say the word hell, right?
Gehenna.
Okay, right. There are words, but it doesn't say hell. And those words can be interpreted as the grave and a variety of other things. I mean, there's some biblical foundation, some theological foundation for what I say. There are people who call themselves universalists who believe that everybody goes to heaven and these sorts of things. Catholics believe that people can work themselves out of hell. So there's different Christians have a different interpretation of sort of afterlife's torture.
Okay. Gosh, here you go again. I mean, we're getting so peripheral here, but. But centrally speaking, I guess what you describe as love is in the absence of standards. And God's love is greater than the love that you described for your own son. Because according to the Bible, and you know what? I'm not going to talk about universal Unitarians or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about what I believe the Bible teaches, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But according to the Bible, God has revealed standards that none of us have kept. And so if he were to render justice to every person who has ever been conceived, then because we have all fallen short, we may be big sinners or little sinners.
God made a game. We all lost the game. Now we all go to hell. But I'll sacrifice myself to my own rules, and then I'll create, and then I'll absolve everybody of their responsibilities as long as they believe this book that's full of holes and that has a mistranslated Savior's name in it.
Yeah, Bill. Why? I mean, I wish we could get into this deeper, Bill.
No, here's the point, Bill. And Bill, this is really important. The book is flawed. I mean, Jesus' name isn't Jesus; it's Yaheshua. So for the very fact that I refuse to believe in the book, that means that I'm going to go to hell and be tortured for all eternity. Only a psychopath would do that.
You have not rejected the true gospel. You have rejected a false gospel.
Oh yeah, this
and what you're describing.
What does that mean?
I don't interpret the Bible the way he does. That's all.
What makes you think that this is the unerring word of God? It's a book written by men. It has, in my opinion, at best, an interpretation, their idea of what God wanted or what God is. But why is that the end all be all for you? Is it because that's what your mom and dad said?
No. And you know what?
Why?
I don't know how to get fully into that, but I will say that the scriptures, and even more completely, the worldview communicated by the scriptures has proven itself to me to be philosophically the most accurate system of describing life, and existentially the one that allows me to live life in light of that word.
And how is it that you justify torture, eternal torture of a person, of a soul, as love? How is it that you can call that love?
I want to give you. I think you.
You're just not answering the questions. But call back another night, Bill. I'd love to hear from you. It's just that I do want to get some other folks on here.
You can save us any night, Bill.
He's not answering the questions. I would love to talk more about it. I really would. I think that these discussions are interesting. But let's continue, and because we do have Eric listening in Indianapolis to WIBC. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. Hey. I'm also calling regarding the heaven and hell.
Yes.
And as far as the ability to go to heaven versus hell, all you have to do is believe that Jesus was sent here by God to pay for our sins, and that once you believe that and believe that He is the Savior and He
we know the pitch. We know that we understand the pitch.
Right. Everybody in America's heard this nonsense. It's just nonsense, though. I mean, God made the rules, which is that you've got to believe in, Jesus the Savior, whose name is Yaheshua, which is a mistranslation from the get-go. We know what the rules are, but if he enforces those rules, that's what makes him nuts. It's like me telling my son, putting a cracker in front of my son and telling him, look, if you eat, we shouldn't say cracker, we should say some candy. If you eat the candy, I'm going to shoot you in the face. And then I pull out the gun and I shoot him in the face. Everybody in America would say I was insane, but that is a minor.
You shot him because you loved him,
yeah,
Mark.
It's a minor crime compared to what God would do to me if I refused to believe this book. And I've tried, right? Like I was a Sunday school teacher. I went to church. I went to a private school, and it was a Bible-based private school. I paid attention. I understand, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So send me to hell, God.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Maybe you can answer the question, Eric, since our last caller wouldn't do it. I mean, how is it that you justify eternal torture of a person as love? How is that loving?
Well, every sin that we commit in God's eyes is considered equal, and because none of us can follow those rules, He only gives us one other rule, and that is to believe that Jesus is the Savior.
It didn't answer my question.
And once you believe that He is the Savior, then that allows His love to flow over you.
So He doesn't love you. Wait. So what you're saying is He doesn't love you until you accept this story. That's not unconditional, is it?
I'm saying you can't feel His love unless you accept that Jesus says you're saved.
So you're saying he does love you if you don't accept the story, but he'll torture you anyway if you don't accept the story. What a crazy, messed up story. Thank you for the call tonight, Eric. I was trying to avoid saying
God
the F word.
really, really does love you. If God exists, God really does love you.
Yeah.
And he's not this psychopath they talk about in the Bible.
Yeah, I believe in God. I just don't believe in that particular God. And we can talk more about it another night, but we're out of time for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Enjoy your weekend and love your neighbor. It's Free Talk Live.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 17th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,177 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $268. Antiwar.com reports that Turkey reported that its Air Force shot down a drone along the Syrian border on Friday after the drone was repeatedly warned to turn back and did not respond. Turkish officials say the incident was within the rules of engagement for their forces. The big question here is whose drone this actually is, and that's unclear so far. Turkey just flat out says they don't know, while the U.S. says they suspect the Russians, likely in no small part because the U.S. always suspects the Russians. Russia, however, says they are not missing any aircraft and did not offer any insight into whose drone it might have been. No one else is claiming ownership of the drone either, though the Islamic State has been known to fly some limited drones in the airspace. Turkey had made high-profile threats in recent weeks to shoot Russian warplanes out of the sky if they got too close to the border, and that seems to be informing a lot of the speculation about this being a Russian drone, though the fact that a remotely piloted drone did not respond to warning broadcasts seems a little silly and seems mostly focused on Turkey trying to sell the idea that they tried to avoid the incident. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports traffic near Los Angeles, already notorious for gridlock, was even more restricted late Friday after mudslides buried a major thoroughfare and forced drivers onto an alternate route for the evening commute. Heavy rains soaked Southern California and triggered landslides on Thursday. By early Friday, the mud had buried a good portion of Interstate 5 in Castaic, about 40 miles north of downtown Los Angeles. Officials also said the rocks, mud, and debris stranded motorists and about 200 vehicles. Dozens of semi-trucks and 2 tour buses were among the stranded vehicles, according to the LA Times. Traffic was shut down in both directions on the freeway, although most lanes had reopened by late Friday. The slide spelled trouble for Friday's afternoon commute as drivers were diverted onto US Route 101. Traffic was further snarled when authorities responded to a possible jumper on an overpass above the 101 highway. Heavy rains soaked the region on Thursday, which were followed by flash floods. More rain is forecast for Saturday.
For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports turmoil swirled again around the Republican-controlled Benghazi committee on Friday as it questioned a senior aide to Hillary Clinton, prompting fresh accusations that the panel was created to damage the Democratic frontrunner's presidential campaign. In a 6-hour closed-door interview, members and staff sought answers from Huma Abedin, for years a close confidant of Hillary Clinton. Abedin has served as the former Secretary of State's assistant at the time of the 2012 attacks on U.S. diplomatic facilities in Benghazi, Libya that killed 4 Americans. Democratic Representative and panel member Elijah Cummings told reporters that summoning Abedin raised more questions about whether the panel is a taxpayer-funded effort to derail the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. Cummings said Abedin, now campaign vice chairwoman of Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, had no responsibilities related to the tragedy the committee was set up to investigate. Representative Trey Gowdy, the panel's Republican chairman, said Abedin's testimony would assist the committee in writing a final report. Organized originally to probe the 2012 attacks on U.S. facilities in Benghazi, Libya, the committee has come under attack by Democrats who say it is a partisan investigation unleashed by the Republican majority House. The committee has come under especially harsh criticism since Republican Kevin McCarthy, the number 2 House Republican, suggested in a recent television interview that the probe had helped to drive down Clinton's presidential poll ratings. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Studies show that more and more teenagers are leaving Facebook, but where are they going instead? Apparently, to the hottest new social media site in years, the comments section of this YouTube video of a deer running in slow motion. Already, its comment section is seeing over 30 million active users. Facebook isn't giving up so easily, incorporating images and videos of deer, elk, reindeer, and even moose into their layout. But teens say that misses the point entirely. In fact, the site's one unwritten rule: don't post anything about the video itself. Teens say that's not cool. But with more and more people swapping over to the comments section of the slow motion deer video by the day, some trend watchers warn it may begin going the way of Facebook.
I was obsessed with it for a while, but now it's just boring. I'm probably going to switch over to Happy Fast Kitchen.
While we don't know for sure, we believe Happy Fast Kitchen might refer to the Yelp page for a Chinese food restaurant in Cleveland, the new social media site where musician Skrillex recently dropped his latest album.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's time for Off the Air Live.